550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Ayy, coming down like precipitation. I ain't never met a limitation. Hater plotting my elimination. Gotta go to Google for the information. I'm a superstar, so I gotta shine. Top dollar be the bottom line. Bottom feeding niggas out of line. Turn your heart rate to a dotted line. Yeah, my zodiac probably dollar sign. Got the energy to win it, my nigga, I'm feeling great. Got a date with destiny, focusing on my fate. I don't give a fuck what you rapping, you been a fake. I'm everything that they ain't, it can't be, it won't be. Wanna see me fall, I can't go, I won't leave. Coming from the block with plain clothes and police. Straight up to the top with bankrolls and rollies. Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Ayy, 12 can't really stop shit, so I'm still pushing like a mosh pit. Ice dripping, think I'm hot shit. In a yellow bucket with the mop stick. I've been jugging jams like wholesale. Everything must go sell. Hitting bitches with the oh well. Need 100 million on the low scale. On my worst night, I'm the best nigga. Wouldn't mess with you, couldn't cap to him. Homie spotted me like 700, brought 1100 right back to him. If I can't do it, then it ain't real. I just make dollars, I don't make deals. I've been going hard in the paint, still blowing kush clouds till I can't feel like. Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
Hello.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to tonight's coverage of the Titan Esports Vanquisher League. I am Let's Your Brady. Don't worry about that awkward stare and wave for a little bit there. Joining me today, as per usual, my co-caster GG Golden Gad. How you feeling today, GG?
I'm feeling pretty good. Kind of chill today. Nothing too crazy going on. Hold up. Give me 1 second here. I was like,
Holding?
I'm here in 2. Don't worry. Okay. I'm focused now. I'm locked in, and I'm ready to get into the games today. We got Dorado Gaming, Theta, right? I believe that's
Yeah,
the
Theta, that's the
T.
one.
And then also on the other side, we got I don't know how I feel about using this acronym, but it's Iceborn
It's
Inferno here.
Iceborn Inferno. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's maybe some questions around whether or not
But
ICE is the
okay, week
best
2,
acronym to
so
use, but that's fine. It's already too late to change it. I think we should be in for a good matchup today. As much as our producers tend to have their issues with Dorado and have their own personal biases against them, Dorado is always an organization that feels very good teams and has very good coaching and communication behind the scenes, which means that they are always coming up pretty huge when it comes to even in the early weeks, just getting things together. I have seen weeks where they've had their jungler and support substituting with each other, just getting it making sure they're going to have the best person in each role. So Dorado's always a team that's going to field the best roster that they can, no matter what league they're in. So I think we should be expecting them to make at the very least a run into playoffs, if not a deep run.
yeah, for sure. And both these teams are Group A as well. They're also 1-0, so this is going to be a pretty good match. They both won their
Both
first
went
best of 3.
0. Both went 2-0 in their first best of 3 as well. So both of them showing off dominant wins in week number 1. And now we're going to see, well, was their win a little bit fraudulent perhaps? Or is this real competition that we're going to have here?
Yeah, for sure. So we'll have to wait and see, of course. This is going to be pretty interesting. I think there's nothing too. I'm seeing the chat here. Yeah, maybe. Either way, I kind of just want to get into the games, to be honest, because we just can't have enough League of Legends, especially now with Worlds coming up very, very soon,
Yeah.
of course. If you
I
haven't
managed
seen, the
to
pick'ems are live
Yeah, I
for
managed to
Crystal
get those
Ball.
in just before the stream started.
Yeah, so if you haven't done it already, go ahead and do it. I mean, hey, there's nothing to lose for trying to put your stake in and make your call on you know, everyone loves a little bit of gambling, and that's basically what it is.
Yeah. Look, it's incredibly low stakes gambling because all you're really gambling for is that bragging rights for your friends of yeah, I am the better analyst than as opposed to you are. But I think inside the production crew at the very least, it should be fairly higher stakes because I think being good analysts is kind of like what we're supposed to do, right? Like that's kind of our job.
If my caster curses from last week were anything to go by, I don't know if I'm making any good predictions this year. But some years I do pretty well, not gonna lie. But last year was also a complete bust. Not gonna lie, that was
Yeah.
pretty rough. But I think a lot of unforeseen things occurred,
Oh
in
yeah.
particular. So
I don't think a lot of people saw a lot of what happened last year, but we're not here to talk about Worlds. That's going to be in the future. We're here to talk about the Vanquisher League. And we had a pretty interesting start last week. It was a fairly quick series. It was a 2-0, but it was that cross group. Now we're over in Group A, which will not be seeing any of those cross group matches. It's just going to be entirely, I always mess it up. I think it's inter-league, not intra-league.
yeah, believe so.
Intergroup, not intra-group. I know there's a distinction between the two. I can never remember it. But the big deal here is going to be all of these matchups are going to be against teams that you're going to be either seeing in the playoffs or seeing for the rest of this split. So it's going to be very important for you to get your good practice in as well as get your good matchups in these groups. We're going to be jumping into the draft here. It's game number 1. It's Iceborn and it's Dorado and Draven off the board immediately. They are not messing around with Monty's champion pool.
Yeah, Draven is extremely powerful post buffs, of course. Definitely a very scary prospect now with the attack speed buff in tow with the AD getting buffed there. It's just a little bit intimidating, especially if you have a specialist, which Monty might be. We're seeing other bands here now. Nico, one of the strongest supports, kind of you need an easy engage and also a good lane bully. There's kind of no one better. We're seeing Jarvan as well get taken off, one of the most premier AD junglers, post a lot of the nerfs from the previous couple patches. So it's that or Wukong, so that getting taken off. Singed is very interesting. I'm not sure if I have a good idea of why, besides maybe for an early Gwen pickup, since Singed is a very difficult matchup for that.
I do think Singed is also a Bleeding Wolves particular champion. I remember seeing the name around, and I remember seeing Singed attached to that name. I've messed up some picks here and there, but I'm fairly certain Singed is in that guy's champion pool. It's going to be the Jinx first pick. This is a champion that I've been trying to get back into the meta for a while now because we're in hyper carry meta, we're in team fights, get to the late game, 3-item ADCs, and Jinx thrives in those environments. So now it's just a matter of can Iceborn actually draft a composition to keep her safe and give her those resets.
Yeah, for sure. And we're seeing Tristana just get locked up immediately. Kind of a surprising pick here. Obviously, Tristana very aggressive in lane, especially with a good lane bully partner, or potentially even just a hard engage like a Nautilus, something like that, just to be able to set up that explosive cast or shot. Very important. If you're able to pop it with full stacks, it definitely does go pretty crazy. And there's that AD jungler I was talking about, Wukong, probably the premier on the patch. So it makes a lot of sense to just get grabbed up immediately. Seeing Talia here does put a bit, at least there's some protection for some of these lanes a little bit later on in the game, especially since Jinx Lulu is pretty good as a lane partner.
I'm a little surprised to see Lulu kind of blind picked here because I think now this bottom lane is incredibly weak to an engage support, like the Nautilus you were mentioning earlier, which is just going to get locked in. I'm not shocked to see that Tristana Nautilus on its own is a fine bottom lane 2v2, and you're up against an enchanter like Lulu. And I have my own personal grace with Lulu. I think she's very strong. Sometimes it's a little broken. I think Polymorph is very unfun to play against. But the main weakness of these enchanters is these engage supports, is these engage AD carries, people who could follow up and just, for lack of a better term, Goomba stomp them in the laning phase.
Yeah, it's really gonna come down to Willie's positioning there. If you're able to actually get the polymorph down on the Tristana before the explosive shot actually pops, you actually can deny a lot of damage and maybe potentially win a trade out in that way. We're seeing a lot of tanks in the top lane getting banned out here by Dorado, and then on the other side, Iceborn banning out both Yone and Akali, kind of those higher skill melee mids, which are things that do combo well with Wukong, since it does put a bit of the pressure off of Wukong to be able to farm a lot more early on. So yeah, seeing the Scion lock in here, so there's actually quite a few options you can go here into the Scion to really tear down this top lane force, but they're kind of missing some easy engage, and Set will definitely hit that margin.
This is something that we actually got to watch last week, the Set versus Scion matchup, and it ended up, if I remember right, working out well in the Scion's favor, shockingly enough. The mid lane bans actually make me wonder if this Talia is going to be flexed at all. I can't remember the last time I've seen a Talia jungle, but banning out Yone and Akali, which are technically top mid flexes, but aggressive laners at the very least when Talia's already up there. And it looks like that Talia will be flexed. It's going to be OP kill switch on the Talia jungle, so we've got Keyhall instead on the Victor versus the Orianna, which is a little bit of a resident sleeper lane. They're going to sit there, they're going to farm against each other, they're going to get their tier items first item, and I'm going to be very upset about it, but that's going to be fine. Top lane, we should see some action, and bottom lane will be definitely seeing a lot of action. I expect to see both these junglers padding down there, playing for the bottom lane. Iceborn defensively, but Dorado just trying to get in the face of this Jinx and shut her down as fast as possible.
Yeah, we got very classic matchups, kind of like, if you think like historically in League of Legends history, you got, Orianna versus Victor, Poke versus this more control-y mage, and then you also have, of course, on the bot lane, you got Tristana Nautilus versus Jinx Lulu, which is like, oh, we're back in like season 6 even, back then when those champions were kind of around.
Meta, don't remind me.
Yeah, of course. And Nautilus was the only one that could kind of counter it sometimes. Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely kind of interesting here. On the top sides, I will say Set theoretically should have an advantage into Scion. We'll see how that actually turns out. Of course, Scion is kind of the variable X in every game. Yeah. So we'll have to see how that ends up going, but I feel kind of comfortable about both these comps. They really have a pretty clear identity, and I think it's really going to come down to the execution on the day. I think Wukong should have a very easy time farming. Same for this Talia. So I think it's really going to come down to which jungler really comes out on the front foot, how the invades actually go, because I do expect at least some invading, because since there is a Talia in the game on the jungle side. So, picking the Talia and then having it flex into the jungle against this Wukong seems like a good idea to me, since you have a very easy time just farming up. Not gonna lie, Wukong not really the best dueling jungler in the game.
Yeah, and especially against Talia, who is one of these mages in the jungle who can play very aggressively, especially with the worked ground, those rocks that just stop you from dashing forward. Wukong's main tool to get on top of you is a dash. So if you set up those rocks prematurely and Wukong is able to get past it, or if you set them up on time and Wukong gets stunned on it, that feels like it's going to be very coin flip. Who's going to win that trade? Are you going to press your E on time, or is Wukong going to press his E first?
Yeah, of course. But either way, good with this draft, I think. Nothing really much more to add. I think it's going to be determined in the server, so all 10 players will load up, and I really think hopefully load up. I will
we were
say
having
oh yeah, go ahead.
Yesterday, I believe Riot was experiencing a DDoS attack in the North American server that affected the is it LTA or LCS promotion tournament? Are we calling it LCS promotion?
I think it's still the LTA promotion tournament just because the branding lasts till the end of the year.
Which is a little silly, but either way, it did affect that tournament, and it did affect us here at Titan Esports as well. It's possible that something else is still going on, something in the back end. We're having issues with our production right now, getting into the draft itself. I think we'll send it to a quick break for now, just to give them time and space to get that set up, and we'll come back to you guys when we actually get onto the Rift, hopefully with good news for game number 1 between Iceborn and Dorado. We'll see you then.
I don't know if we're ready for a break. Okay, we are. Let's go.
You do like do crazy. Oh 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 crazy. Oh 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 crazy crazy. Oh oh crazy. Oh oh crazy. Do crazy. Do crazy. Do crazy. Do crazy crazy.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you all so much for your patience as we were dealing with our technical issues. But we're here. It's game number 1. It's Dorado Gaming Theta, and it is Iceborn. I remember their name, I swear. Iceborn Inferno. That's the one.
Yep.
All these sister teams with all their names. The skin that you were seeing there was Battle Cat Vayne. I know this because I know far too much about League of Legends. Anyway, we're on to the Rift here. Immediately off cuff, I'm seeing a couple of interesting summoner spell choices, especially in the bottom lane there, with Fuifui and Mani going Cleanse and Exhaust.
Cleanse, I can kind of see, but you can't. Can you cleanse a polymorph? I'm pretty sure you can.
And I believe.
Yeah. So, I mean, at least now it engages like your aggression is better, but the exhaust is very interesting. You don't really see it as much, especially from the support position. But I assume they just want a full fist fight in the bot lane, so it makes a lot of sense there.
It's why I'm a little surprised that it's exhaust over ignite, but I think the exhaust will be good later when you're looking at late game Jinx, Wukong set as well. A lot of potential bad news for your Tristana who wants to be jumping forward whenever possible.
Yeah. But I think overall it should be a lot of farming lanes. I think every single lane, including the jungle as well, is just going to want to farm it out. But Keyhole actually has a pretty good position here in the lane with the triple caster to be able to push it out. So Smokey's just going to have to walk through and take a bunch of damage there. So not too bad here.
This is why I'm not a huge fan of the phase rush on Orianna. I know it does provide a lot of safety, but I'm a big proponent of the Comet with at least a couple of points, if not W max Orianna. It gives you a lot more lane pressure and lets you bully out some of these more passive farming mid laners like Victor, who, you know, if you don't take aggressive rooms and don't do an aggressive setup into him, he will just kind of bully you out of a laning phase and give himself a lot of free advantages.
Yeah. Both junglers here opting for that full top to bot clear. So we may see some action at some point. But yeah, as you're saying,
like we
yeah,
said in
go ahead.
draft, I think we're expecting to see a bottom lane, and we're already seeing that action. Summoners are being blown down there, and it looks like Mani and Fuifui actually took the worst of it. They got a lot of damage off onto Willie, but not enough to force anything except the heal in the barrier. So exhaust 1 for 2, but the health bar trade's pretty favorable for the Iceborn bottom side.
Yeah. From what I was seeing from before, just the double ranged advantage of Willie and Viper here, just really showing its prowess. But it always just takes one good engage from a Nautilus to really turn the tides, and especially now with the heal and the barrier down, it is kind of difficult to actually play it out. So yeah,
I
we
think
are
that's
seeing a
feeding
TP
into
also in the
those
top
issues.
lane, which is pretty surprising.
Yeah, Bleeding Wolves very early on the TP there, just making sure that he gets back to lane as quickly as possible and wants to keep up the pressure as OP Kill Switch is here. Smokey doesn't see it. It has to burn the flash early on the exchange. Does not want to get caught by those rocks. And nice little gank there from OP Kill Switch. First jungler we see on the map making something happen.
And also some good value as well, just because Talia kind of got denied on that bottom scuttle due to how bot lane kind of panned out there. So actually just being able to take the top scuttle does change a little bit. Willie there, getting a nice hook.
Yeah,
Taking a lot of
has
damage
to be a
here.
little careful though. Hypnotic Viper does do quite a bit of damage. That lethal tempo stacked up means a lot of trouble. Everyone else is just going to back off for now. We're going to see the Scion burn that TP in the top side as well. With Talia up there, there's a possibility for trying to punish the early TP usage of that set.
Yeah, right here. Gotta be a bit careful here if you are Fifi and Mani, just because there is always the chance you get poked down more than you're anticipating. But just going in.
Oh, looking for the engage. Willie is the target. The auto's coming down. The explosive shot is gonna pop. Monty picks up first blood.
Yeah, Willie just not flashing immediately as soon as that hook goes live. Takes the brunt of it before being able to use any of the abilities. Just completely getting taken down for nothing, really. And yeah, that advantage they built up for quite a bit here just kind of nullified. I'm going to give the gold lead. Actually, it's pretty even.
Yeah, I was
At
about to
least
say,
even
you
up.
say the advantage is gone, but I'm looking at the CS difference between these two AD carries, and yeah, you lost First Blood, but First Blood doesn't have as much meaning anymore, and that extra 100 gold not present anymore, whereas that 17 CS lead that we're seeing between the AD carries, Hypnotic Viper is happy to have that one.
Yeah, Fifi now back in lane. Mani is still low from the last trade, and Viper's pretty low on the mana department as well, so definitely some worries to go around, but I think this should just be a quick reset for the Jinx in just a second here as Talia and Wukong are both heading towards this bottom lane now. Nothing too crazy, but they should have at least some maybe if Jinx backs here, they have a window to maybe take Drake. But they do have to be a
It's
bit
a
careful since
possibility. Kill
Wukong's
switch
there.
is in the area. Washed up is nearby, but not nearby enough to make an influence. It looks like Kill switch is just going to be here to help them push out the wave, get them a decent reset as Monty really wants to back with that extra kill goal that they have in inventory. But look at the CS discrepancy again. I mean, I pointed it out earlier, but 20 CS in the lead for Hypnotic Viper right now is a ton for a Jinx in the early game, especially against a lane that's supposed to be so aggressive.
Yeah, Tristana's tough because when you level up your E, it kind of screws up a lot of your last hitting, especially early on. So when you are getting pushed into so aggressively by a double range bot lane, it can be kind of difficult to actually catch up all the CS as it comes down. So you're seeing a little bit of the effect of that, and kind of why Tristana's not picked as much anymore, since bot lane isn't just push 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 all day anymore like it used to be. So
That's
definitely a
why
little
she's
bit
been
more
more of a mid
intricacy.
laner recently. Junglers are
Yeah.
gonna meet here in that top side river. Mid laners were cheating over, but nobody's gonna come in. Willie making his appearance known in the mid lane, just saying hi, making sure that no junglers were gonna get into a scuffle on his watch, and the early game will remain slow for now. As it's just been a very calm early game. I'm a little surprised that we haven't seen more fighting and honestly more jungle interference in this bottom side.
Yeah, I think unless somebody pulls the trigger really hard, there's kind of not going to be any fighting. You really have to hard commit, and it's really only on Fifi for that. Um, Talia also has the opportunity for that, but Talia also wants to make sure that Wukong doesn't get too far ahead, just power farming all day, as Wukong likes to do. So,
Mm-hmm.
kind of respect the decision from both sides, especially since this game will be going late no matter what. However, oh, we have a little bit of a scuffle.
Storm smoking in a little bit of trouble. The ticks are not going to do that much with the double ruby crystal that Keyhall has, but just making sure that Oriana has to burn all those potions if she wants to stay, that she doesn't have the TP. We've got a Hex Flash here. Fui wants to get the engage, misses the hook, but Hypnotic Viper is still going to get rooted up. Nice cleanse from Mani in the mid-air. Hypnotic Viper is exhausted, but I don't think they're trading back too much
Oh.
just yet. Fui is going to get that tower shot, but Hypnotic Viper's got the shields on. Lethal tempo stacked for this Jinx. Suddenly Mani's the one who has to flash away, and now Fui is the one in trouble as the Nautilus doesn't have the flash. Slow's going to land for Willie. One more auto will do it. Hypnotic Viper will pick up that kill. Now excited. Flashing over the wall. Just wants to take the trade into Mani. The shield isn't there in time. The level up, it doesn't even matter. The shield comes through anyway. Hypnotic Viper picks up the kills in the 2v2.
Yeah, just a bit of the disconnect there between Mani and Fui Fui. Fui Fui has the timer for another hook since it did hit the wall at the end of the day, so you get a bit of that cooldown refund. And, you would think that they just hard stomp there, but Mani just a little disconnected with that little bit of extra timing that Fui Fui can't tank the Jinx Lulu anymore, and they just turn their attention towards Mani, and they end up with a double kill on the bot lane, and they get rewarded big time with the Drake as well in the bot lane. So very well played for him, Hypnotic and Willie.
A huge swing in this game because not only does the Dragon go over, that CS lead in the bottom lane has only continued to grow. 70 CS now at 8.5 minutes is a really good spot for the Jinx to be in. And again, we keep harping on it, but this is a bottom lane that's meant to have a lot of pressure. Nautilus Tristana is a lane that's level 2. You go in early, you make everybody's life absolutely miserable, but sometimes in these coordinated situations where you're in these 5v5s, you have that constant communication with your lane partner, you're communicating with your jungler too. It's a lot harder to make these early aggressive bottom lanes punish as hard as they do. It's why I think we saw a really big fall off of Kalista Renata in pro play recently. And I think lanes like Nautilus Tristana are kind of just falling a similar way.
I think it really is back to the range support meta for the most part. You really do want to have the lane pressure just to be able to survive, especially now with right now we're seeing a little bit of a lane swap as well, and just having the range support be able to be flexible in which lane they actually dedicate their resources to is a very important thing. Unless the Nautilus is able to turn the tide with a trade kill, it's going to be pretty difficult to actually find much now that they're pretty far behind, and there's a lot of respect being shown here by Hypnotic Viper and Willie on this side of the map, so it should be pretty easy for them to navigate. And look at that vision line as well. There's there is no chance.
They have had a vision of OP kill switch the whole time. They really wanted to make sure they knew. And this is one of those times where I question the use of the exhaust over the ignite if you want to play aggressive like this. I wonder if with ignite, maybe Hypnotic Viper's under a little bit more pressure and can't flash forward as aggressively. Maybe you just have 100 or so missing more health as two Groves are going to go over to Iceborn, and they're just going to end up walking away from it. They don't care about the third because they got the credit for that objective bounty. Or not for the objective bounty, the objective feat. First 2 steps now for them with the dragon and the grubs going over to them. So next dragon or next herald can unlock their next spot. As Hypnotic Viper may be in trouble. If Fleet has flash, explosive shot used in the wall. Hypnotic Viper is going to get caught by the hook. The traps are going to be there. Lulu is not level 6, so Willie doesn't have all the defenses available. Hypnotic Viper will finally go down. That lethal tempo proc coming up clutch for Monty as they get a big punish on the Jinx.
Yeah, just the timer there, just to have level 6, just working out in tow there for Monty and Fui. So Willie, gonna just watch the 80 carry go down, but I mean, still very close margin there. And the trap's really doing some good work there to ensure that Jinx at least gets some good damage across. But nice trade kill over, kind of watering out the storm a bit with how far ahead Jinx was currently. Already having that Utah is complete, as you could see. So, yeah, definitely looking good. But
Complete. No cull, so Tristana will be able to make up some of the gold at the very least. But yeah, just a big positioning to save Hypnotic Viper there. And we saw the issues with roaming around as much on those ranged supports and trying to allocate those resources. You don't allocate them for yourself. You're not level 6 there on Lulu, so you can't give that wild growth over. You can't keep your 80 carry as safe. I think if Lulu's level 6 there, there's definitely a chance for them to turn that kill back around. But without it, Jinx just dies.
yeah, for sure. So now Willie, level 6, no shenanigans to occur yet again in this game. I will say Victor right now doing a pretty good job with gold wise, able to get the Roa before just about 10 minutes, ticks over to 11. So actually pretty good pacing here for the Victor, since the Ori just had to kind of divert a little bit to get that tier, just having the early good item. There is no objective though that they're going to be able to chain out of this. I think the Ori probably will get a reset in before that, but still looking pretty good. Kill switch now, looking for a top gank, but it's just so hard to dive a set. With the E and the W. So
yeah, Bleeding Wolves has been having a kind of difficult time, I will say, up here in the top side. Trouble has been putting on a lot of good work as Weaver's Wall going to come through. Bleeding Wolves doesn't have the flash. That full knockup's going to come through. Then the seismic shove, but the rocks were not down in time. So Bleeding Wolves is able to sidestep the stun. Here comes the ulti from Trouble, though. With that Haymaker shield, can Bleeding Wolves actually get out? No, it's going to be Trouble picking up that kill with the last auto attack, and that's Feat of Warfare over to Dorado.
yeah, very strange to not have the rocks down there, but still works out nonetheless. With no flash on Bleeding Wolves, it was pretty free to actually, as soon as he passed that kind of mid mark of the lane. So nice gank angle, and OP kill switch on to a nice start here. 13 minutes in, I know it's not the fastest, but as I said, Talia, Wukong, not really the ones who are going to make that many plays. Wukong still yet to use Cyclone at all this game, so definitely waiting for something to happen there, but since Drake is spawning in just about 5 seconds, I anticipate this is where we're going to see a little bit of action.
Yeah. Turret platings are going to come down in just about 30 seconds. We see that Hex Flash being channeled by Fui. Wants to look for an engage, but just not the right angle for it. The issue with a Lulu lane is if you engage on the Lulu, Jinx is going to be able to free fire, but if you don't engage on top of her, she's free to throw all of her extra utility, shielding, and healing onto the Jinx, which is where you want to be throwing those resources anyway. So tough decision-making process for Fui as this goes on. We got to teleport in from Bleeding Wolves on the flank angle here as Washed Up is going to look for an engage. Doesn't have a great angle for it. Bleeding Wolves looking for the angle to pick up Trouble with that showstopper. Gets into the backline. OP kill switch. Potentially the target, but they're going to move on to Keyhall instead. Smokey flashes forward. Gets the shockwave just onto one, but they've already got Keyhall. Now Hypnotic Viper is going to start to get excited on the backside of the fight. Willie was forced to use the flash and the heal to get away, but at this point, it does not particularly matter. Wild Growth used defensively, but Iceborn are just going to clean house. Monty forced to flash into his own jungle, cleanses away from the slow of the zap. And Iceborn are going to take away the dragon as well, feeling confident here in game number 1.
All there from Iceborn. Just they see that the fight is split up since Mani and Fui kind of had to take a long route around to avoid getting cycloned into shockwaved. And guess what, right? As soon as that happens, Bleeding Wolves just decides, all right, I'm just going to go and I'm going to ult this Scion in, do the full amount of, percentage damage that I can. And then with the 90% slow or so that it actually does apply, able to just combo that with the Cyclone. And it's a pretty easy engage for Iceborn. So good start for them. They find their second Drake already, so on their way for another feat. Oh no, they actually already got the feat.
Yeah, they got it because of those two grubs. They count as that full feat, and with the first turret blood going down, it means that they get those triumphant boots for themselves. Just those little bit of extra stats. We're gonna get a replay of what exactly happened on the fight, and I like what you said. Just pulling the trigger immediately with this teleport was a great way to start.
Yeah, so you can see Mani and Fui, they cannot enter. Willie and Hypnotic Viper just completely zoning, and as soon as Bleeding Wolves gets in range of the Scion, just immediately ulting back towards it. Keyhall has no way of surviving this with the Wukong already on his forehead, so just goes down immediately. Now Killswitch just able to walk it out just to make sure that the fight still goes well for the side of Iceborn. So good control too, just to make sure that no one's really left behind. Just really solid play there in that team fight. And now they're going to try and translate that to a Rift Herald.
Yeah, and I think another big important thing in that team fight is Hypnotic Viper didn't have to use a single summoner spell. Held Flash and Barrier that entire time, so even if Dorado gets a bigger jump on the next fight, Jinx has all the defensive resources, the Lulu behind her, her summoner spells, to stay safe, to get away from the Scion, to get away from the Nautilus and the Tristana, who's trying to just shut her down. The CSL continues to grow in bottom lane as well as say that Smokey, now potentially in trouble here on the bottom side, has that phase rush proc for themselves, but here comes that unstoppable onslaught. Can't sidestep that one. Smokey gets knocked down. OP kill switch, picks up that kill for themselves. They will lose Herald for it and potentially this mid lane tier 1, but they get something done on the side lane.
Yeah, between a rock and a hard place there, nothing Smokey could have done, but a nice response in the mid lane, of course. So just able to grab up that turret to kind of even trade the gold over, at least a little bit there. So not too bad. Iceborn maintaining their lead nonetheless. Bleeding Wolves now has a pretty good angle, but a nice cancel on
Arcane Storm just wants to make sure nothing's gonna happen there. Keyhole just saying, hey, I'll burn my ulti, you walk away, shake hands, we're good on it, we're good on it.
Yep. And as far as like CS leads, I mean, it's still maintaining for 30 CS on this Jinx, so that's just a consistent kind of factor here throughout this game. Tristana's still kind of lagging behind. I mean, Jinx well on her way to the Infinity Edge in just a little bit, so definitely going to look pretty scary when this next Drake comes up in 2 minutes if she can actually hit it. But I have a feeling she won't, so they have at least one more fight that they could potentially win. Here, Keyhall.
Make this play happen. Face breaker for the stun on the Keyhall. Washed Up is in the area. Cyclone is just going to land on a Fleefy who has the flash, so is going to get out of there. Looks for a hook, gets it back onto Washed Up, and now Fleefy's the one in trouble as there's the showstopper in. Goodbye, Nautilus. Bleeding Wolves has the Haymaker as well. Huge damage on the Keyhall. He will end up dying, and maybe a Super Mega Death Rocket not gonna land from downtown. Just not the right angle. Keyhall survives.
Very, very close there. I'm surprised we went for that, but still ends up working out just 1-for-1 with the help of the Talia to peel off of Keyhall there. So pretty good play here from both these teams. And, you know, with the time given to the Tristana, it actually did kind of even up the gold a little bit.
I'm surprised that Smokey is trading that aggressively, but when you have Hypnotic Viper in the area, I guess you can feel a little bit safer. Trouble does have the ulti and probably should be burning it fairly soon. This Jinx does quite a bit of damage, ends up popping it as late as possible. She's going to be forced to recall here. Probably recalling either way, but you can just see, even without the Infinity Edge, Jinx is able to just pump out damage if she gets that tempo stacked.
Yeah, for sure. Scion, I actually like the idea of just baiting the ults like for as long as possible because there was a potential there. If Jinx just walks a bit too far forward, you can combo that into some sort of Victor damage, burst damage. So, and there's a potential there, but yeah, definitely a little more damage than Trouble Killer actually bit off.
Yeah, bit off a little bit more than he could chew. Now he's going to be up on the top side up against his good friend, Bleeding Wolves. No, the build that I see on the set more often than not nowadays is this Stridebreaker, but I feel like it gives you a lot less side lane priority than other build paths do, unless you chase people down, which is something that set really does struggle with, but you're not going to have as much pressure into the Scion, and I think as this game goes later, Trouble is going to have a lot better and better of a matchup into Bleeding Wolves unless we see something like a crazy Triforce or even a Blade of Ruin King just to try and make that matchup a little bit nicer.
Yeah, so now they're going to start up this Drake. I'm surprised to see them commit the Rift so far away. They just want to trade it strictly like this. I'm surprised because you could have just summoned the Rift Herald bot lane for a similar kind of thing of pulling people across the map. But instead, you're just going to sacrifice the Rift Herald with 0 potential to make a charge happen. So, yeah, I'm pretty surprised to see it kind of pan out that way. I think there could have been a more valuable use of your resources in that particular scenario. But still able to grab the Drake and puts them at soul points. So there's still the value in just that pressure that you'll have for the rest of the game.
Yeah, I do think that's the big deal. They get to Soul Point. They're willing to say, hey, Rift Herald's timing out pretty soon anyway. We can just drop it in whatever lane they go to respond to it. We've got the Dragon. If they come to us, then somebody can either move to the Rift Herald, or the Rift Herald on its own is just going to make enough trouble for Dorado that they have to respond one way or another. I think they're happy to just get to Soul Point. And these are a lot of champions who could do really, really well with a Cloud Soul. I think genuinely all 5 of them really do take advantage of that extra movement speed, both passively and when you activate your ultimate.
Yeah, they definitely have good use cases here. I will say, with Otacon up, you know, I'm curious to see what the lane allocation is going to be. We obviously see Victor on this side and Sion on the other, which kind of tells me that Dorado doesn't really care too much about this Otacon, but they want to make sure that Iceborn can't start it up. Bleeding Wolves just...
Yeah, at the very least, feigning that they're going to pressure. They do have OP up here as well. No Rift Herald up, Baron's not up for 4 minutes, so everything on this top side is going to be focused around this Otacon, at the very least for this next little while, as Washed Up was maybe looking for an angle over a wall, but thankfully for him, didn't end up taking it, as Smokey and Trouble are going to start rotating up. I feel like the teams are setting up for a fight here, as Willie is face-checking brushes a little bit dangerously, is now Washed Up, looking for an engage over the wall, gets that Cyclone down to the Flee. It's just under the Nautilus, though, and he's going to Spider-Man his way out of there, so Cyclone does not find any value.
Yeah, Cyclone, one of those really pivotal cooldowns you really want to make sure you always get value out of. So not finding a kill there is definitely going to be a big bummer, and kind of going to thwart any of their potential Otacon looks for the next couple minutes here as they wait for that crucial cooldown to come back up. So Dorado has bought themselves a bit of time just with that particular play.
Yeah, you got to be careful who you engage on, especially in a composition like this where really it is relying on either the jungler or the top laner to get a good engage. And without the Scion, without somebody standing in front of you, when you're playing set, you're not really finding a lot of great engages outside of just finding a flash. So a lot of this team's team fight capability and a lot of their ability to actually start a fight on their own terms is going to be on Washed Up on this Wukong. So if you see cyclones like that happen again, I think it's a little nerve-wracking for Iceborn, as they've got a lot of leads in terms of momentum, in terms of positioning, in terms of gold allocation, but the gold total is in Dorado's favor right now.
Just some of the extra gold they've gotten from things like Cole and some of the rotations they've made, and also just the jungle CS advantage as well. Definitely making a bit of a difference.
Hypnotic stepped up too far, hooked up, the explosive shot, buster shot from downtown. Monty just takes him out. Little aggressive there from Hypnotic Viper. Now Smoke potentially the one in trouble. Depth charge is going to land, and that's going to follow up with the hook. TP in from Trouble Killer as well. Wants to get that ulti and doesn't find a ton of value out of it. And now set into the back line. The massive showstopper stops Dorado in their tracks. Trouble will be the next to go. He's going to be forced to flash over the wall, but everybody's flashing after him. Scion will fall eventually. He'll take his sweet time, but they will get there. Nice 2-minute knockup from Oki kill switch, but too little, too late. Iceborn strike back.
Yeah, nice counter engage there by the Orianna, setting it up for the showstopper from the set, just piling in so much damage on top of these carries that committed pretty hard to actually find the kill on to Hypnotic Viper and maybe the follow-up onto Smokey. But since Smokey didn't go down, it means that they had a good time to just free fire, and now they're going to look for the Otacon. OP kill switch is here, which is a jungler, has the smite as well.
Yeah,
The Washed Up Schizo should make it difficult.
Going to be a little bit slower on the take, and OP is definitely making it more difficult, but I don't think the Talia has the room to get in here to make something happen. Zap's going to land over the wall. Smokey's looking for a potential angle for a shockwave, but OP kill switch has that wall ride, is going to get out in time. But the Otacon goes over to Iceborn, and I'll be real, GG. At the top of that fight, I was like, oh, Dorado have finally found their angle. They're making the comeback. This is what Dorado does. They pick a good fight. They start winning the game, and then they win it over, but Iceborn with the clapback was really nicely executed.
Yeah, that was actually extremely solid. I mean, it really came down to whether or not Monty actually flashes that Cyclone plus Shockwave, but since Monty didn't, I mean, that's pretty much your entire big damage carry that can provide a lot of burst that you kind of crucially need against a comp like Iceborn's. It really did come crumbling just a little bit for them, and now we have a Drake fight. They're getting kind of corralled back into their own jungle here, so good positioning take here by Iceborn.
He's going to eat a little bit of damage. Yeah, like you said, Iceborn just walking in and saying, hey, you are not strong enough to contest us right now. We have our ultimates back. We can take a fight, but still playing respectfully enough. They want to get advantage in the mid lane, start getting that wave pushing. They know that this is the first dragon that Dorado actually has a chance of being able to pick up, as Trouble reads that knock up a little bit. Depth Charge used onto Hypnotic Viper very early. Watched him also using that Cyclone, not finding a ton of value. But now that Showstopper in the backline again. Fui drops, so does Trouble. Keyhole's going to get caught by the Shockwave, and he'll fall as well. 3 quick kills for Iceborn, and that's going to hit them. Cloud Soul.
That's. I mean, I'm just saying, if you see a set into a Scion every single time, I mean, I feel like the Showstopper is just kind of crazy. Fui's entire HP bar kind of disappeared as soon as that came down for the Scion. And with Tristana jumping over and committing that, there kind of was nothing protecting Keyhole damage-wise, so the fight just fell apart immediately as soon as Madi decides to kind of change the angle here.
In a little bit of trouble, but manages to sidestep Bleeding Wolves away. But the Baron is going to go over to Iceborn, and it is so important for Trouble Killer in the game like this to have that positioning be locked in. I feel like we haven't seen an impactful, unstoppable onslaught. You have to start looking from a flank. You have to start looking for some sort of side angle that you can get in that doesn't line up set with members of your team, because as we've seen, Bleeding Wolves will take advantage of that and will make your team hurt for all those tank stats you have.
Yeah, it's just kind of questionable for me, the way Dorado's playing. You really want to deny a Wukong Orianna from being the one who gets the engage. So you want to be the one finding the initial engage, but that really hasn't happened in many fights here. Now they're looking for Bleeding Wolves.
Potentially in trouble, but Washed Up is in the area. He's just going to make sure the tower falls before he gets the engage. OP is the one in trouble. Haymaker pops his head off. Unstoppable Onslaught is stopped by the rockets of Hypnotic Viper. And I think Iceborn are just going to clean up this game number 1 from here.
Yeah, this should be just a clean end here with the Soul, with the Baron. It should be pretty easy for them to just kind of walk it down. Orianna also dueling Victor on the side lane here, so you're going to be missing a lot of your consistent damage that you do need to actually cut through this set. Hypnotic Viper, though, just going to opt to go and clear out all these turrets. So not going to be too crazy, but just going to balloon. Yeah, balloon that gold lead. I mean, now it's almost up to 10k at this point, so they've really put themselves in a really commanding position. Now they're just going to go straight to the bot lane.
Yeah, I think it was, what, was like 5 minutes ago, 6 minutes ago, where I was like,
Ooh.
oh, hey, there goes Keyhole. But I was saying, like, yeah, you know, the gold allocation is good for Iceborn, but hey, Dorado has the gold lead. It's only a couple hundred, but they're not behind, which is a big deal. And now suddenly, oh, hey, they're near 10,000 gold down at the 28-minute mark. Good lord, this is how you blow up a game. And these are normally the types of like gameplay and types of game states that we see from the Dorado team. Seeing it against them feels almost it feels almost wrong.
Yeah. You know, they do end up performing very well across many of the Titan esports leagues, but you know, just it is only game 1, so bit of a blemish though, but they should be able to recover nonetheless. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you don't want to be caught making, false predictions or anything like that. So,
you don't want to be talking too much trash when game 1 ends, because game 2 and 3
yeah, there's no way Iceborn loses this game now.
I'll be honest, if they lose it from this spot, I don't think they can win game number 2. No matter what kind of draft advantage they have, no matter what gold advantage they have, if you lose a game from this spot, I think that spells a lot of trouble for your team. And granted, we are early on, so throws will happen as teams get acclimated with each other. Players get picked up from other rosters, other organizations, free agency, as players like to call it. So there's going to be a little bit of a warming up period for everybody. But that's usually week 1, week 2 is they're trying to play again on Bleeding Wolves. He's just going to take the turret. Haymaker is charged up. Monty manages to get the ulti out to make sure he will not get tagged by all that true damage. And while they get the set, they get shutdown gold for Monty. They're going to lose a lot for it in the top side. Wants to get the engage. They've got the Lulu. Hypnotic Viper potentially in a little bit of danger, but Washed Up is just flashing into the back line. Maybe a bit of an overextension, but Hypnotic Viper now gets excited and gets to start running forward, flashing away from that knockup from Trouble. Gets hit by the seismic shield, but it doesn't matter. No stun. Hypnotic Viper with the double kill. Wants to look for a little bit more, but just can't find the angle for it. They're just going to take the second inhibitor and say, hey, yeah, you got the kills, but we're taking your base.
Yeah, very nicely played. They do find the Willy out of kind of nowhere. OP kill switch now looking for the kill, but good footsteps.
Just sidestepping him, just making him look silly. Monty now taking the 1v1, but you don't win the 1v1 versus Jace when she's excited. A double kill for Viper. Keyhole looking for a potential angle here, but the excitement plus the Cloud Soul means that there's no chance the Victor's going to catch up.
Well, if that didn't end the game, at least mental-wise it should have. I'll say that. But no, they do survive here. You do have 2 inhibs down. I mean, if you can find a couple more engages on a crucial member like Willy or Viper, maybe it's potentially possible, but it's just looking difficult. I think they're gonna wait for this Elder Drake in 1 minute because that's really their potential window here, is if they're able to like steal Elder Drake in a kind of a really tight scuffle. So we'll have to see if Dorado's able to pull anything out of the hat, but it's not looking the greatest right now.
Yeah, Monty not having flash, Killswitch not having flash, Trouble also not having flash. He's got the Hex flash, but no exhaust on this Nautilus, so it's going to be positioning key for this team, as we've already said, and they haven't really been passing that test. As I say positioning, Fui, you're a little out of position here. I don't think you get to walk up that far forward. Super Mega Death Rocket, Hypnotic Viper goes godlike, and now without the support engage, I don't think there's a chance for Dorado to actually contest this Elder Dragon.
Yeah, well played there. They're just making sure. Oh, we're not even gonna attempt the Elder.
They just want, and Bleeding Wolves just wants blood. Legendary goes Hypnotic Viper, and they'll give him another 12 kills here for the first game in week 2. And they just want more blood. They want more action. They want this game to be over.
Sion able to at least clear the wave, but I mean, there's just not much you can do here. No big engage tools left, and they're just gonna jump right on Monty, clean that up, and Iceborn's just going to take game 1 in a pretty commanding fashion after a little bit of scuffling in the very early stages of the game.
Yeah, a clean win for Iceborn. There was a spot here or there when I think you and I both were a little nervous. Dorado looking like they could mount a comeback, but Iceborn Inferno, clean house in game number 1. And if that's not a confidence win, I don't know what is.
Yeah, as soon as you win that team fight in mid where it looks so bad, since your AD carry just gets caught immediately, I think that's just... That should give you just enough confidence to be able to close out the game very consistently there. So they're going to just be able to translate that into a pretty nice victory here. But note the damage from the set. 32,000. That's basically all from W's and R's from the set.
He got to punch Sion in the laning phase, and he got to throw Sion in the late game.
Yeah, so definitely very good performance there. Nothing too crazy engage-wise from the Wukong Ori, but they honestly didn't need to do much. They're playing the roles of kind of facilitating the Jinx and the set, really being able to find the engages, find the angles, since, you know, Wukong Oriana, they don't like to be that primary engage. They want to be that secondary, so very solid play here from Iceborn, and I have no complaints from their performance perspective.
Yeah, I don't think I have too many for Dorado either. It felt like it was just they were a little bit outmatched on the day. They just didn't have everything ready. Their positioning wasn't perfect in some of those team fights, so Iceborn was able to take good advantage of what they did. And we saw what they did when they did take advantage, even if they're missing their AD carry Hypnotic Viper, and missing, I will say, their starting roster AD carry in Idris. Hypnotic Viper stepping in as a substitute today and showing up looking this strong. I think making a case for a starting roster spot at the very least, as we'll have to see how Dorado responds in the Game 2 draft, because something's got to change for them, and I don't think their gameplay was up to snuff. I think the draft was fine. They just didn't execute on it perfectly.
Yeah, if I had to put any guesses out, I think just locking in what the team identity was for the comp. You know, these are both pretty generic comps where you're playing kind of just strong champions in all 5 lanes and thinking, okay, this is kind of what we're going to play like. If we play better than them, we'll win. And both teams came with this approach. But sometimes you need kind of an identity you can go and fall back on. Unfortunately for them, it was the Nautilus is really like the sole engage. And if you don't find a good Nautilus engage, you kind of just lose. So it really came down to, we didn't have the exact angles we wanted, and it's not easy playing Nautilus into as many ranged characters as
because the melees you can't engage on, because Set and Wukong are just going to either clone away from it or use you as an engage.
Yeah.
And trying to get the range to get on the backliners without losing all of your HP to the Oriana, to the Jinx, who was pretty much fed from minute 1. She was very strong, even in the laning phase. Just a rough spot for Fui on the Nautilus. I'm never going to blame a support. Supports, you're always my MVPs in my heart and my soul. But we're going to have to see whether they're going to switch up here in game number 2, as we're going to jump over to a break. And we'll be right back on the other side of that when we get to that draft for game number 2. We'll see you then. Welcome back, everybody. The production and the casters, I think for the first time that I've ever seen at the very least, stand united here at the Kiss, Marry, Kill segment of our show today. Everybody said Marry Echo. Everybody said Kiss Lee Sin. Much to my dismay, everybody said Kill Pike.
I mean, they were honestly pretty difficult choices. I could see me doing Pike over Lee Sin for the Kiss, but I think the marriage law is pretty locked in no matter what if Arcane has anything to show. And trust me, Riot loves milking Arcane more than anything. So
And we love getting milks for Arcane. Arcane is just great. Arcane is fantastic. If you haven't seen it, what are you doing with your life? Go watch it right now. But it took a lot for me to decide to kill Pike over Lee Sin. He's my guy. That's my little psychopath. That's my little murderer. I love him. But unfortunately, Echo is too stable. Obviously, we're gonna marry him. He's a man. He's a man. Lee Sin is not going to try and kill me in my sleep if a magical list thinks that I deserve to die. And Pike is.
it's justified. It's deserved, you know? If your name's on the list, you should die.
Yeah, totally. It's definitely not something that's nefarious or sinister.
No, not at all. It's all justified.
Yeah,
Just like
everybody
the
who's
Amer-
on the list is people that Pike wants to kill.
Yep.
More implications aside, it's nice to see for once that we don't have any huge discussions of who's more viable, who's better in terms of a marriage. Everybody just said, yeah, you know what? Echo's the guy, Pike's not. And unfortunately for me, that's just kind of the objectively correct opinion.
Well, yeah. I don't. Yeah, I'm not gonna entertain that comment.
I'm
We
not
just
gonna-
received
yeah.
protection either.
We're not gonna.
There's a lot to unpack there, and I think it's better we just move on.
Maybe you should see someone once a week to talk about comments like that. But we should be getting into the draft fairly soon here. GG, we did see a pretty dominant win from Iceborn in game number 1. And it felt like kind of a confidence game from them. They just kind of knew what they were wanting to take into this draft. They had strong picks like the Orianna, the Jinx, even the Wukong that made it through. And when you get OP picks like that and you're not really contested in terms of the early and the mid game, it just kind of feels like you can run the game over.
Yeah, Wukong getting the free time to farm. That's generally like one of the conditions of the game is if Wukong's free farming, you want to be doing something on the map, and that didn't really happen. So Wukong just gets Triforce for free as soon as the first Drake is there. You know, it's pretty hard to contest Wukong with a full Triforce already kind of bought up at that point. So, I mean, it was at that point pretty easy to play. But yeah, there were some complications with particularly the bot lane. You know, you're still dealing with that Tristana Nautilus combo throughout it, which makes it a little difficult for both the Nautilus and the Talia to kind of make something happen in the bot side. But, you know, either way, Dorado has some adaptations to make for this game too, and I think it really, yeah, as I was saying before the break, identity is my main thing, like making sure you kind of have something to play for. In this case, it was Tristana, but they didn't really lock into that kind of mentality with the Talia as well. And even the Victor is not really indexing towards Tristana either. So, yeah, it was definitely a difficult draft, but not necessarily something that you'd lose from. It's just something that you're going to have to execute well.
Yeah, it was the difference of, for Iceborn, they had a good draft that if you execute on it, it's pretty much a guaranteed win. And for Dorado, I think even if you execute perfectly on the draft, you're still going to have to micro team fights perfectly, macro your map movements and rotation perfectly. Whereas for Iceborn, the comp kind of played itself after a certain point. They were like, yeah, Jinx gets excited, Orianna hits a shockwave on one or more people in the team fight, and hey, we get to win. Very cool. The big question for me, I think, is the flex of the Talia was an interesting choice coming into that draft. I liked the thought process behind it because Talia is so strong versus Wukong in a vacuum. But it just felt like the Victor didn't do enough in the mid lane to justify, hey, we're going to move Talia over to the jungle.
Yeah, I think the main idea was to give mid lane a more favorable matchup, since Orianna generally does do pretty well into the Talia in specific. So I think there was an idea there, but they didn't really pick a counter pick either. Like Victor just kind of also plays the game against Orianna, which is not something you'd want to do if you're going to be kind of flexing characters around like that. But we're seeing kind of similar bans here. We got the Annie here on that side for Dorado, as well as the Draven, once again taken off the table. But we're seeing a lot more mid focus here for Dorado. Both the Ahri and the Annie, the A champs, now getting taken off the table. Curious to see if they're just going to index fully into kind of fully banning out Smokey's champ pool now that the Orianna is gone in that consistent pick.
There is something that we haven't seen in the bans yet that we did see in game number 1. It's going to get through. The Singe that we saw banned away in game 1 is going to be available for Bleeding Wolves. Dorado did choose to go to the blue side here, so they do have first pick, so maybe they have something that in particular that feels really good against the Singe. Nico is going to be that final ban for Iceborn, alongside the Draven and the Sivir, really focusing on the bottom lane, whereas Dorado focusing more on the mid jungle, which I do think was a problem, but not so much until the late game, as Ashe is actually going to be the first pick here for Dorado.
Yeah, Ashe being the first pick here, kind of interesting. I think it's just because the AD carry pool got pinched a little bit, but I mean, there's still things that do well into Ashe. I mean, Ziggs is one for sure. So a nice counter poke, kind of a poke lane into this Ashe is actually quite solid. Makes her life a lot more difficult. So she's usually the one outranging. She's usually the one poking. Well, guess what? Ziggs definitely fits that buck right there. And then now we're going to pair that with the Rel. So a very interesting bot lane combo. I think it's mainly for just compositional reasons, not for the actual lane. They think Ziggs can just hold it down there with the bombs, of course, while Rel kind of does her own thing. And we're seeing Nocturne, but there's crucially no Orianna.
There is still a Galio available, which normally Nocturne is picked as a counter to deny that heroic entrance, but does also combo well with it, just as the option of, hey, Nocturne's going to dive into the backline. Here's your Galio delivery system. It's not a ball delivery, but Galio's a little bigger than a ball sometimes. As this was the champion I was going to talk about to pair it with the Ziggs, the Leona. That's normally the bottom lane combo we see, as it's just going to get locked in, but I want to talk about the support matchup a little bit more here. Normally, you do see Leona Ziggs as that 2v2 combo that has the potential to really just lock somebody down and kill them early on into the game because of how much CC Leona has. Rel is a little bit more conditional with her crowd control. She has to aim a little bit more. She has to try a little harder to get the same CC combo that Leona does. So it's still definitely possible for them. If Amani ends up overstepping, they can play for a punish, but it's going to be a lot more difficult. And I think you're right that we're probably going to see Willie playing for the map a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure. Seeing the Singed, of course, very interesting. Now, as far as counter picks that are available, oh, I'm gonna have to think like really hard here. There's, of course, every ranged top laner in the game that is still available, and
Gnar?
you know, no,
anybody with wave clear, really? Anybody who can
heavy wave clear, or someone else who can also proxy is also a viable choice. You just don't want to pick up really a tank that doesn't have any lane like wave clear at all. That's probably the worst case scenario, and you don't want to pick Gwen. So they're gonna pick Aatrox,
Gwen,
which I believe is actually very favored for Aatrox, but you know, there's always the shenanigans with proxying, stuff like that, that could kind of alleviate that issue.
There's that Galio I was talking about as well. It's going to be the last lock-in, so Key Call on the tank. I worry about this Dorado composition lacking damage. They have good crowd control, they have good engage, they have lockdown for the Ziggs. They can get onto the back line, but can they do anything with that lockdown? You're relying a lot on Ashe and Aatrox to actually be hitting pretty hard, as Jace is going to be the final lock-in, and Iceborn just has a fairly gross poke composition here that also just happens to have a really good team fight wombo combo. Yeah,
the Jace is actually a very cool lock, and I do like that into the Galio. You know, you don't see it as much now as an 80 mid laner, but definitely something that's really good into Galio. You can't really get engaged on that easily, but
yeah, as well
I don't know.
Your composition needs the AD because you have double AP in solo and top lane and in bottom lane. Yeah, you've got AD jungler, but Vi is not really going to be pumping out the most numbers in terms of damage. Like, you get your Sundered Sky, and then you're like, cool, I'm going to build a tank now. But Jace is a very competent attack damage carry. It's not something you'd see in the bottom lane, but hey, as a solo lane laner, he is a strong bully, especially in the shorter lane of mid. He's a lot safer and way more aggressive to be up in your face. So I think Dorado probably sees a lot of potential to try and gank mid, and especially because Galio has that lockdown, but you don't want to leave bottom lane on its own because Ziggs free farming is going to outscale Ashe. You don't want to leave top lane on its own because if Bleeding Wolves can proxy, Trouble is not going to have a lot of fun. I think Dorado maybe is just a bit stretched thin here in terms of what Fleetway and what OP Killswitch can actually do on the map.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that they still at least have a good shot here. I think if Jace gets pretty shut down by Leona roaming up, or potentially just Nocturne ulting in with a nice Galio engage, there is a pretty decent chance. They have very, very long range engage, which can kind of get you around the issue of having to walk through a Vi Singed and a Rel. But you know, it's not like the carries of Ziggs and Jace are extremely crucial to the performance of this composition for the side of Iceborn. I think they can survive if one of these two go down and just play a longer fight. So, you know, it's a little bit difficult for Dorado here to actually find it, but there's always the X factor of Aatrox. If Aatrox gets really strong, I could see them having a damage issue, to be honest, on the side of Iceborn. So we'll have to see how it actually pans out, but I think it's looking good for Iceborn, but yeah. Who knows? There's some weird, wacky champions that are drafted together in this one.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to keep our eyes on Smokey on the Jace, because I will say the Orianna performance was good enough in game number 1. I didn't see any huge shockwaves that were super impressive to me. I didn't see any real like outplay moments, any lane dominance moments. And I think Jace is a champion that really does require you to play that much more selfish carry style. You have to say, hey, I'm the main character for the first like 15 minutes of the game. Everybody's focused on me. I'm going to be the carry. So play for me, and the enemy team has to play against me. And I want to see if Smokey can actually do that in this game, because the Orianna, again, I'll say, a little bit less than impressive. Still got the win, still managed to find the right shockwaves in the team fights, but I didn't see anything that leapt out to me as like, this is a star player. This is a guy who's going to 1v9 carry a game.
Yeah, so we'll have to see how that actually pans out. And also, like, Ziggs is very much so, like, kind of a support, kind of just poking. So definitely a different role here for Hypnotic Viper, if Hypnotic Viper's still in, or, you know, just not sure. The name tags are different, so I think we'll see it when we get in the server, of course. So, yeah, either way, pretty interesting composition. The Vi, I think the Vi is going to run it down. I just have a feeling in my soul.
I feel like you always dislike the Vi picks when they come through. I feel like this is
which is funny because I actually play Vi like very consistently in ranked.
So is this like projection from you, or is it just like every other Vi you see?
Don't forget, last season I only played 10 games and I lost all 10. So and yeah, that was definitely an experience. Yeah, I just didn't want to play League for the rest of the season. That's weird.
Yeah, I can get that.
But yeah, so we'll have to see how it ends up going. I just think, like, you're going into Galio, you're going into Aatrox, you're going into Leona. If your teammates aren't there immediately, oh man, you are going to get blown up. So we'll have to see how it goes.
You have Singed and Rel for follow-up if Singed is going to be anywhere near the team fights, because this is the thing with Singed. You never know, is he going to be with the team, making a nuisance for Monty and for even Trouble Killer as well, like with Rylai's, just running through the team, slowing everybody down, being an absolute nightmare? Or is he just going to play side lane? Is he just going to ignore the fact that he has a team in this team objective-based game and say, hey, I'm clearing waves, I'm inside the enemy base, I'm taking all 3 waves at the same time, what are they going to do about it?
Yeah, so now we're finally in to the game here. Game 2 for Dorado against Iceborn. We'll have to see who ends up taking it, but this could be a quick 2-0 unless Dorado has anything to say about it.
Yeah, it looks like there may have been a little bit of a pause that we managed to slip our way through, as Weekly and Willie are going to spot each other out with that early ward. It is still Hypnotic Viper. Idris is still out for this game. It is double TP. Important thing that I'm going to point out, Bleeding Wolves with the Ignite on the Singe. No teleport, no ghost. Flash Ignite, there is no fear in this man.
Remember how you were saying, oh, I don't know if Singed is actually gonna, join the team or not. I have a feeling no.
Yeah,
with the Ignite.
This feels like a very selfish Singed setup, that's for sure. Conqueror, Ignite, Flash. No ghost, no teleport, no nothing. Just saying, hey, I'm the main character. It's me.
Yeah, you come to where my fights are gonna happen. I'm not coming to yours, so I'll have to see how that goes for Bleeding Wolves, but there is definitely a reason that Dorado was banning it, so I'm expecting some good performance here, and they're already doing the stuff to deny some of the proxying here, so we're going to see a pretty default Singe start here on that top side.
Yeah, just trying to make sure that Bleeding Wolves doesn't get a cheeky little sneak into the enemy jungle on that level 1. It is just going to be fairly common wave clears. Both junglers starting on their blue buffs, so we are going to see opposite sides cleared. I'm a little surprised to see Washed Up playing towards the top side, or at the very least looking for an early gank bottom lane as Smokey. This is the kind of performance you need to see on Jace. You want to be pressuring, you want to be autoing, you want to be throwing your spells, and just making Galio regret picking a melee into Jace.
Yeah, as soon as any of those CC abilities go down, Jace pretty much has free reign to do whatever he
Willie
wants.
is now in a bit of trouble. You're dismounted, and Monty's got the lethal tempo stack, so he's going to be eating a lot more damage, but gotta respect the Ziggs poke back as well, and I think the health bar, again, is in favor of this Iceborn 2v2. This bottom lane for Iceborn has been so good as level 2s are going to get hit, but it's Iceborn on the back foot here as Willie's now forced to flash away. Hypnotic Viper wants to get the damage down to the Monty, but just can't walk forward enough. Stuns traded by the supports. Monty getting super low, but so is Willie, who's going to be able to actually pick up a kill here. Fleetly wants to keep walking forward, but can't find the stun, and everybody's going to be forced to walk away. Whew.
He has to be careful though. One Ziggs bomb with a Scorch proc might actually just do it, but it's gonna be pretty close here, especially if a level up comes through here for Hypnotic Viper in the next wave. So
to see the flash lost by Monty as well. So flash traded by Willie. You had to use that flash to get in, but an Ashe without a flash is a juicy gank target for Vi, for Jace, even for Rel, just ganking her own lane.
yeah, fortunate for Monty though. Vi on the top side here, just thinking maybe you'll have to help the Singed get bailed out in this lane, but I mean already forcing the Aatrox. Well, not forcing, probably just a free base here for the Aatrox. So not going to be able to find anything on this top side for the Vi. So a little bit slower start here, but Monty forced to recall here, going to lose up most of this wave, but they aren't pushing fast enough to actually be able to deny this cannon minion, it looks like. So not going to be too bad. And now with the Nocturne here, got to be very careful.
Some potential danger. Flash in traded. Hypnotic Viper quick on the switch there to get away from Fui. OP kill switch still in the area, but now potentially it's Keyhole, the one in trouble, who's going to get slowed up. Has the taunt up, but not enough. Flashes away. Will manage to survive the gank. Smokey also eats the tower shot and survives. Everybody walking away with slivers of HP. No one dead just yet.
Yeah, that was very close though. OP kill switch now behind them. They have no idea.
Don't have a clue. Willie the one in trouble, but has that crash now to get away. Fui Hex Flash over the wall, takes a tower shot, but Willie should be the target. Will end up falling. First blood over to OP kill switch. Nicely executed in the bottom side by Dorado.
Yeah, nice play there. They just didn't have an idea that kill switch was just looking in the jungle to maybe find something. You know, was definitely hovering around with no camps in the area for a very long time there. So very difficult look there. Monty now just going to try and freeze the wave a little bit, but it's probably not going to work out because you're playing against Ziggs, but at least a good attempt here. Hypnotic Viper going to have to force the TP out here, so should be able to claim up all that XP that was waiting for them. Now, just going to clear up this ward before Washed Up Schizo actually ends up in that particular area, but no, just going to be able to shove in this wave. And Ashe under turret. Who would have guessed against Ziggs?
Yeah, against the Ziggs, I never would have seen this coming. I'm shocked that we've seen so little action in the top lane, but at the same time, it's just a fairly sizable CS lead for Bleeding Wolves on the Singe, just making sure Trouble is forced to farm under turret and make life difficult as manages to not get caught by the turret shot either. Nice little cues there from Trouble Killer, gets those Umbral Blades in. Keyhole actually puts a decent trade in here too. Trading at the bottom side as well as Willie not tanking the turret, but just been engaged there by Fui to try to get them off of the turret. Life is a little difficult for the members of Iceborn at this point. As soon as we start looking top lane, suddenly Bleeding Wolves is feeling like he's a lot less safe.
Yeah, you know, this is just a dodging mini game for Singed, and you know, it's not looking the greatest. Have hit quite a few Qs here for the Aatrox, but now with level 6 should mean not too much to worry about at all. Just goes for the thumbs up, walks away, gets the free recall. Calls it a day. You like it? You like that? That was pretty good. All right. Now going for the bot lane here, Nocturne once again in this bot side, just making sure that Monty's actually able to farm. It's kind of janitor duties here for OP kill switch, but maybe able to at least convert into a little scuttler. But Vi in the area has to be a little bit careful. Rel is coming.
Yeah, Willie's here as well, so it's not just going to be free, as Smokey also has the potential. OP kill switch not level 6, so no free engage into Smokey for now, but is still going to force the Jace to back off and give Keyhole a little bit of extra space, but this should mean, I say should, it's it's actually not going to mean the Rift Scuttle are over to Washed Up, as nice rotate from Fleet to zone off the Vi. She can't walk up on her own, and it's a Scuttle over to OP Kill Switch. I was saying that all the time spent in this bottom lane is going to delay OP's level 6, but it's still managing to keep in time with Washed Up, and in fact gets the level 6 earlier than Washed Out does on the Vi, which is a really big deal for the Nocturne.
Yeah, Nocturne now at level 6. They could just go for a snap engage now. Vi, unfortunately, Ashe doesn't have level 6 to be able to snap, just shoot that enchanted crystal arrow across the map, but definitely there was a bit of a window there to just hard engage immediately on top of that bot lane with no flash on Hypnotic Viper. And now, here we go, proxy shenanigans.
It has begun the proxy. It is time. Suddenly, no more interaction in the top lane and trouble. Have fun farming waves unless your team wants to come and try and punish the Singed, which is not easy by any stretch. As here's the level 6 Paranoia in the bottom side. A nice satchel charge and the crash down as well from Willie. May have to give his life, but does have the flash to try and get away. Fear Tether's not going to land, but the Ignite taking away and the autos come through from Monty. It will be enough. Dorado continue to win out with the jungle pressure on the bottom side.
You have to be really careful here as Hypnotic Viper. Well, I was about to say, if Mani or Fui hits level 6, they could just hard engage here, but they are going to respect that the Vi is there. They're going to back it up. Nothing too crazy going on. And, I mean, it's looking pretty good here for Dorado so far, but the gold lead still just completely even across the board.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that is in the top lane. Just the fact that Bleeding Wolves has managed to collect the CS lead over this Aatrox and has been playing very aggressively into him, just making his life difficult in the early game when you can abuse Aatrox before he has a lot of that cooldown reduction and all that extra healing. Life just gets a lot harder for the guy. As the game goes on and as he starts to pick up an item or two, it will be a lot easier. As Arrow's gonna land, it's gonna deny Viper. It's gonna deny that recall, so a little bit of extra time spent for him, and maybe Monty can actually just interrupt the recall again. You can't be doing that. Flash forward from Monty. The satchel charge is going to get him away for a little bit, but the slows. Hypnotic Viper has to lose the flash as well. That's the kind of aggression you like to see.
That is the most disrespectful thing I've ever seen an AD carry and Vanquisher do. I can't lie. You just recall after getting Enchanted Crystal Arrow, and you recall in the exact same spot, and think...
They can still see you, Hypnotic Viper. They know you're there.
That was a thing. I mean, honestly, Monty flashing kind of surprising because not really the lane that has the pressure, so committing flash like that is a little scary. But hey, it's about sending a message, and this is a message.
Hypnotic Viper stayed. He stayed. He's gonna get caught out. Whiff picks up the kill with the aftershock, and then dings level 6 to knock down Willie as well. No flash dismounted on the rail. Monty picks up the kill, and it looked so good for Iceborn in game 1, but Dorado are crushing the bottom lane in game 2.
You know, I just talked about the most disrespectful thing. I think that might have just taken it, just sticking around in that lane too, just kind of crazy. Gets engaged on since there's no flash on the Ziggs. Guess what? Leona just pops the ult. There's no dodging it, so nice grab up there from Dorado, and they're putting themselves in a really good position, able to grab up a Drake as well for their efforts.
Yeah, and this feels very reminiscent of game 1, just in the other direction, as Paranoia's going to be popped in the mid lane. Keyhole survives. The Galio's so damn tanky, he won't fall! OP Kill Switch picks up one. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow locks down Willie again. Poor Willie, not even level 6 on the rally yet. Has the crash down and the aftershock to try to escape, but no chance in hell he's getting out. Monty now on a killing spree, and Dorado are up 7-0.
It's looking really good for them. You know, there just isn't that much damage from the side of Iceborn yet. I feel like the Singed is actually going to be pretty pivotal for their damage going forward, but, you know, it hasn't really worked out for, you know, either Smokey or Washed Up to actually be able to do really anything in these fights. So 7-0 is that scoreline, and I mean, if you start a game like this in solo queue, the FF button may be calling, but every game winnable.
Yeah, every game is still winnable, and up until a certain point, it still is in your wheelhouse to actually make plays. I think we haven't seen a super impactful gank from Washed Up just yet, when he was fairly impactful in game 1, not in the ganks, but in those mid-game team fights especially. So if Iceborn can stem the bleeding a little bit, can stop how much they're losing right now, they have potential to still make a comeback. They still have Bleeding Wolves, who is getting farther and farther ahead in that top side, but I don't know how much influence the Singed is really going to be able to put out in this game.
Yeah, and the Jace hasn't really been able to establish a lead. I was talking about how important the Jace is for this particular comp, but Galio has been able to just kind of full clear the waves every single time and not really
He
have to
still
worry
isn't
about too
level 6.
much.
This
Yeah.
poor Rel has just been bullied on repeat. Just try to collect as much EXP as
Oh.
possible. As Washed Up misses the Vault Breaker on Monty. That's huge. That may have been a dead Ash, or at the very least, the barrier lost. Maybe an ultimate, but Monty gets to walk away instead.
Yeah, that was a thing, all right. Definitely had the opportunity to actually just find the kill, since Wooly's flash was up in exactly 1 second when the Vi went in, but not finding the Vault Breaker there. A little bit unfortunate. No cease and desist either, so not going to be able to lock up that kill, and that should have been just a nice shutdown there onto Mani, but slight misplay is going to cost him some time and the effort it took.
Still plenty of gold to be picked up for Iceborn. They have chances to get back into this game. It's not over, like the last game wasn't over early on at Dorado. Obviously showing here in this game number 2 as he's going to land on that Zenith play. There goes all of the crowd control. The man cannot move. He cannot breathe under turret. He's crushed. OP kill switch with the Paranoia, finds the last hit. Monty wants to pick up Willie here, and he's just going to do so. Just has the damage, has the health bar to tank the turret shots. Oh, it's a disaster for Iceborn.
Yeah, this is a disaster. 9-0. Still the gold lead, only 2K. The Singe really putting in the effort on the other side of the map, and a little bit towards the Jace as well. But I mean, with Nocturne hitting that experimental hex plate, and now Kraken Slayer Ash fully online with the Berserker Greaves as well. I mean, it's just looking so difficult for Iceborn to actually find anything now, since they just have poke in the bot lane, engaged in the jungle and support role, and a Jace that is all right.
Yeah, I mean, he's not behind, but the problem is when you're playing Jace, if you are not ahead, you're kind of behind. And I have to question the pick of the teleport on Hypnotic Viper in this game, because I know TP on Ziggs is very much the common thing to do, as you have to put that rant on pause, as Bleeding Wolf's potentially in trouble. Nice spell shield away from the fling, so OB Killswitch gets to stay on top. We'll let her pop from trouble as well. They're going to use the Blast Cone to make sure Bleeding Wolves can't, but can they actually lock him down? He still has Flash. He's popped that Insanity Potion. He might just be looking for a kill on OB Killswitch. He's going to flash over the wall, and OB Killswitch is dead! Bleeding Wolves in the 1v3, are you kidding me?
I mean, without Trouble Killer being that strong, it's just so easy for Singe to just say hello, goodbye, and actually finds the drive-by on OP Killswitch and gets out kind of scot-free. I mean, Singe doing Singe thing. This is how you throw a game, by the way. That is how you throw a game. Those free kills going to a member that kind of hasn't been involved in the game too much and just been farming it up.
Walked back into it. He chose to say, nah, there's 3 people, I'm going back in. That's insane.
He said, "Oh, experimental hex plate? Oh, that's a terrible item. Who cares about that?" kills OP kill switch like it's nothing. But that does not stop the woes so far for Iceborn. Although it is a bit of a bright spot at the very least they could play towards.
At minimum, it's a morale boost for your team. If you hear your top laner say, hey, 1v3, I just killed him, by the way, and I got out. That feels pretty good. I was questioning earlier the choice of the teleport on the Ziggs as opposed to something like a cleanse when you're looking at Leona and Ashe as the engage into the mid lane. Paranoia flashes to keep those chains on. Taunted, feared, nearsighted. It's just a cavalcade of status conditions that ultimately leads to his demise.
Yeah. As soon as you committed that, as soon as you committed to the hammer form there, you had no way to get rid of the spell shield to be able to boop OP kill switch away and then flash away. So nice timing there, and they're gonna take that advantage and just chain it directly into this Ocean Drake. So that'll be their second. So looking like the complete opposite of the last game where Iceborn was able to stack Drakes and find some early kills onto crucial members. It's going Dorado's way instead this game.
Yeah, the level difference overall in this game is just feeling very difficult for Iceborn to actually get back into. Yeah, they have a level lead in top lane, but mid lane, Smokey's behind, Hypnotic Viper's behind Monty, Fui and Willie are somehow at the same levels when Willie was the last person in this game to hit level 6 at a 0, 5, and 0. Yeah, make it make sense, Riot. Thank you very much. But Smokey, it's a decent bit of damage in onto Keyhall, but it just feels like damage that doesn't matter at this point. Is actually looking for an engage on the bottom side with Bleeding Wolves. The Singe just here. He's making Monty's life difficult. The Ashe has no mana. She's got no health. She's got the barrier, but she will fall to the poison of Singed. It's the invasion of Noxus all over again.
80 carry who? I got a Singed instead. Right in for you. So Monty just getting taken down here. I mean, I really do think the Singe is going to be the carry for the most part. They don't have great damage. Oh, and unfortunately, I think this is just a free kill.
Yeah, not much to say there, unfortunately, for Smokey. Just the victim of paranoia on repeat in this game.
Yeah, the Galio just provides so much easy setup. For the most part, and since Nocturne isn't behind, it means that that's pretty guaranteed to be a kill every single time. So Smokey has to play a bit more careful, especially with the timing there. So let's see.
This is what I was worried about in the draft, because Smokey does, from the spots where I've seen him, he does not often feel like a carry player. He's someone who's very good on mage, who's very good on utility as well. The Orion in game one, again, it wasn't bad. It wasn't incredible, fantastic, but there was nothing bad about it. You hit your right shockwaves, you didn't lose lane, you managed to stay even with Victor at the very least, and were good in the side lane. That feels like Smokey's wheelhouse, but these carry champions can sometimes be a little bit harder to execute on in these drafts. And especially when you are forced to really be the star of the show. You are the lead for your team. If you are behind, your team is going to be struggling, as Keyhole wants to defend this turret. Does have the wave clear with the Sunfire Cave. And now Bleeding Wolves, I say potentially in trouble. Not in trouble at all, actually. I forgot. He's playing Singed. He's totally fine.
What's rule 3?
Ready to walk back in.
What's rule 3 of League of Legends? Like,
rule number
don't chase
1
Singed?
of League of Legends is don't chase Singed. It says, heroic entrance in. Willie is going to be the target again. They're throwing every bit of CC they've got on the poor support. Not even a chance to flash away. He's just dead.
Yeah, that's a little unfortunate for Willie. Definitely not the game he was expecting to kind of show up here, but you know, here he is, 061. You're probably wondering how I got here, kind of thing. But everyone on the team kind of looking like that, except for Bleeding Wolves. Definitely the bright spot, and the gold is even, surprisingly. Just some gold leads across the, or some CS leads across the board, and the Singe as well. Mani.
They want Mani. They're finally going to get a good use out of that cease and desist.
Oh!
No, the Vault Breaker doesn't manage to land, but it will not matter. He will eventually die to the Leona at the very least, so trades it back 1-for-1. Loses the flash as well, and Fui maybe stepping up a little bit too hard, but has a bit of extra movement speed with those Infernal Cinders, so it's fine to just walk back. Now Paranoia in. They want the Ziggs. They know he's got no flash. He's got no life. He's going to be taken out. Nice crash down from Willie to try and save Smokey, but I don't think you've got a chance to save your mid laner. The collapse from Dorado again punishes Iceborn.
That's a rough one. They're just not respecting the Nocturne enough throughout the composition, not giving it the kind of respect it deserves, especially with the experimental hexblade. That's a basically a minute cooldown that you're gonna have to deal with every single.
I think it's less. It's close to it.
It's definitely close to it, yeah. But I will say, washed up Schizo right now with these VIQs is living up to their name. Whether the first part or the second, with some of these vault breakers, you know, it's fine. It's fine.
It's unfortunate because the Wukong looked so good in game number 1. It felt like a really
It did
big part
look
of
so,
why
you know,
they
so
were winning.
you got a high, you got a low. All right, that means
I
game
guess that's
3
part of being
perfectly
washed up.
in the
High
middle.
highs, low lows.
Yeah. So, not to say anything bad. Definitely, I could miss those too. But I'm just saying.
I mean, you
Let's do
did
better.
say you feel like every time you see Vi, you lose, and while some of those times are you seeing yourself play Vi,
Oh yeah.
maybe she's just not that good anymore.
Yeah, definitely. This 46% win rate champion's really good.
Rift-Herald's going to be popped in the mid lane here, trying to apply some pressure. Iceborn just looking for any way back into the game. And I sidestep away from the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Can they manage to get Hypnotic Viper out, as the Paranoia is going to be used onto Washed Up instead? So maybe they have a chance to just back out of this fight. Keyhole still wants to look for an engage. Wallbreaker's going to land. We've got Bleeding Wolves on the backline, but there's a lot of CC there. And the Singe will finally fall. Keyhole will take him down. But do they have enough pressure? Ash will go down, but they just don't have enough damage behind him. Hypnotic Viper gets flashed on with that Q3 from Trouble. And the rest of Iceborn will fall behind him. Willie, the only one to survive for once. But Dorado take the fight, and they'll take the dragon too.
Yeah, Trouble Killer just way too strong in that fight. Singe getting basically 100 to 0 as he stood by the Leona means that you just don't have the pressure to actually get any extra damage, and you really need the Singed damage at this point. So
the lack of Mercury Treads I'm seeing for Iceborn feels truly criminal. There is one pair of Mercury Treads on all 5 of these members. This feels illegal when you're up against Leona, Galio, Ash.
yeah, I mean, definitely it is a little questionable, just like the cleanse not being present for Hypnotic Viper, but it is the path they tread down currently.
It's the
They think
path
they need.
it's the bed they made, and now they're gonna start lying in it. As we saw in that fight, like you said, Bleeding Wolves was ready to pop off, but unfortunately, when you get crowd controlled and then crowd controlled again, and then crowd
And then
controlled
Crown.
again,
Yep.
and then crowd controlled one more time,
Yep.
you don't really get to play the game very much.
Not at all. No. But it did look kind of cool to get CC'd that many times and die. It's like, where's my team? I'm getting CC'd. Someone help. There's no help in sight though.
Yeah, no
I mean,
Mikhails from the rel, no chance
Mhm.
of you getting out of that one.
yeah. So we'll have to see if they're able to scrounge anything up. 19-5 currently the score for Dorado Theta here.
Up about 3K. It's not as much of a lead as we saw in game number 1 when the game really exploded, but it's been that consistent game for Dorado as
Oh.
Smokey, Paranoia, Deja Vu. I've been in this place before, and it didn't end up well for Smokey last time. It's not going to end up well for him this time.
I mean, this is just bullying at this point. 1 and 6 on the Jace. I feel like 4 of those deaths are all Paranoia Galio combos. Nothing really you can
Only
do.
4?
I mean, I mean, I think 2 of them were just team fights where the Jace
Yeah,
just
maybe.
goes down. But I don't like this is just at this point the Galio's just unbothered. Somebody get Smokey out of this lane pairing. Put him against the Aatrox or something. Like this just looks miserable.
I wonder if at this point Iceborn are just like, all right, we're going to start thinking about game 3 and how we can change up our draft as Keyhole is going to look for an engage onto Schizo, pops his phase rush so they get a little bit farther away, but he's got the ulti. It's going to get canceled out by the Magnet Storm from Willie, so they've got the pick. Eventually, someone might have to take him down. Someone's got to kill him, though. Hypnotic Viper doesn't have the damage into the Galio, and he's going to get taken out. Body picks someone, OP Kill Switch picks up the other, and that's the point in a solo queue game where the game ends. The Nexus explodes. Everybody says GG report somebody, probably the support because he's got the most deaths. Says Paranoia is back up. Hey, Smokey.
Not anymore.
You wanted to play the video game. Not allowed.
No. See, no, the not allowed there was the contest for most deaths, which Jace clearly is winning now.
Yeah, as Bleeding Wolves is going to go down under his own turret. Yeesh, this is a brutal game for Iceborn. And for Dorado, I think this is just a mental victory, a mental comeback after what happened in game number 1 where they had their moment and then got smacked down and it was just a slow bleed out after that. Everything else was so rough and difficult. But from here, it's just been Dorado from minute 1.
Definitely having a much easier time in this one. 24-5. I mean, yeah, once again, gold lead probably not as high as I'd expect for a 24-5 game, but still, they're able to put themselves in a good position. Otacon now getting taken. They have no way to contest this, so that's just going to be free for the side of Dorado. I do appreciate both of these teams for really kind of pushing their positioning right before Otacon to make sure that there's no contest, no shenanigans, no 50-50s that could potentially throw the game. So at least both these teams showing some good respect for that objective.
Yeah, nobody wants to be the team to throw at Otacon. We've seen it in pro play a few too many times. Life has been a little difficult, I think, for some of these pro play teams dealing with Otacon. So nobody wants to be the one to mess it up down here at the very least. And again, I think Iceborn is truly thinking about, okay, what are we changing for draft for game 3? How are we going to change something up? What do we have to do? Because this was a comfort pick draft somewhat at the very least for Iceborn. They got their Singed. Singed had a lead early on, but the rest of the map just collapsed before he could really get online.
Yeah, I mean, it's a damage problem. Singed is really the solution since he does kind of percent max HP in some ways, and then also just is annoying. But you really need someone else to also be soaking damage for Singed to have the time to be able to actually find it. But you know, without picking a tank jungler, it's a little bit more difficult for that Singed to get that time that he needs. So
do you think we can say the thing now? Do you think it's doable? I'm not going to say it yet, as Hypnotic Viper is the one getting engaged on flashes away from the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, so will manage to survive, but flash forward from OP Kill Switch just wants the blood. Heroic entrance in, looking for a backline engage. Trouble Kill flashes in for that Q1, gets a double knock-up. Hypnotic Viper will fall, so will Schizo eventually. They'll manage to pick up OP Kill Switch, but it's all they're going to get out of this team fight, as Keyhole will not die. A triple kill over to the Aatrox. Make it a quadra. Bonnie steals the penta, but they're going to secure game 2.
Yeah, this should be a nice clean end here. 30 seconds on the death timers. They have a wave. This should just be pretty free just to be able to close out the game and make it a quick one here in game 2. Take us to game 3 in pretty commanding fashion. The draft really not working out for Iceborn. I mean, we talked about maybe potentially them having some angles, but it was contingent on this Jace finding some success, and success it didn't find.
Did not find any. So Dorado will take us to game 3. We questioned at the top of the day if it was going to be a 2-0, if one of these wins was fraudulent, and we're going to game 3. So no matter what happens, one of these teams, or both of these teams, have lost their perfect game score. Nobody's coming out of this unscathed. It's a bloody series.
Yeah, definitely bloody. I mean, 29, 30 kills, like, there's definitely a lot of action happening, but it really did go all Dorado Gaming's way there, besides the occasional singed shenanigans, but that's to be expected when it does come down to it.
Yeah, it was just a rough spot for Iceborn. Again, it felt like from minute 1, life was just difficult for the entirety of their team. Yeah, Bleeding Wolves had a lead up in top, but Smokey was consistently getting poked down in mid and not being able to find good trades versus the Galio because he's so tanky, because you get that armor early. And Ziggs and Rel trading early aggressive versus the Leona Ashe instead of just taking your poke and playing it slow felt like a bit of a mistake, and I think a crucial one is they didn't really have a strong point to rotate to in the mid game. As soon as Jace falls behind, you have to fall back to your backup plan, which is this Ziggs in the bottom lane, this scaling threat, but they just never had a chance to get him online because he was so far behind.
Yeah, you kind of index this poke with the Jace and the Ziggs. When you're not ahead, poke doesn't really work in general unless you have some sort of other kind of safety valve that you can pull. But there really was none inside. Vi kind of just felt Vi just kind of felt out of place here in this one. But they needed some sort of secondary engage to follow up with, but didn't really find anything across the map. Yeah.
Life difficult for Iceborn here in game number 2, and we're going to have to see if they can clean it up for game 3 or if Dorado's going to complete the reverse sweep and keep themselves lossless here in week number 2. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back when we get into that draft for game number 3. We'll see you then.
Blow the dice for me. Put your pretty ass lips together, blow it real nice for me. Yeah, I'm trying to hit a lip and slide to the dealership in the morning. Wow, Papa need a brand new foreign. Hot head, they not gonna believe me, but check the recording. Ooh, just touchdown. I'm a cute bad. Big booty hoes.
Why is there more than one lane?
Bar full of liquor, cash for the strippers.
Why is there more than one lane?
Just a pretty motherfucker with some money to blow. I'm about to buy Las Vegas after this roll. I'm about to buy Las Vegas after this roll. Come on, 7, 7, 7. Let's go. Yes, spin the wheel for me. Blackjack, baccarat, dealer, where you at, deal for me.
Hey Kat,
Give me the tips,
what's up?
give me the tips, 'cause I'm about to go all in.
Look at this bitch.
I can see the champagne falling.
Look at the size of him.
Bills can wait. Fuck it, we
Woo!
go. Stacks on stacks, racks on racks. Moonwalk to the money like a Mike Jack. Yes, I'm faded. People dilated, but the man in the mirror saying, "Go on, get your paper." Pretty motherfucker with some money to blow. I'm about to buy Las Vegas after this roll. I'm about to buy Las Vegas after this roll. Come on, 7, 7, 7. Let's go. Whatever you wanna do, baby. I got you, I got you. Oh my God. Silk Sonics.
Welcome back, everybody. We are here. We are awake, I hope, GG. It's
Oh,
game
definitely awake.
3. We've got our final draft here for Dorado Gaming Theta and Iceborn. I remembered their name and then I forgot their name. I'm a great caster. Anyway, we're here for the draft.
Inferno.
And it's going to be banned away. Dorado Inferno. Thank you. Dorado is retaining blue side, so Iceborn choosing to go back to red side. And now the question is, what's going to change in this draft? Are you staying on red side for that counter pick? Are you looking to give Bleeding Wolves a better matchup? Are you going to let Smokey stay on a utility pick? What's the call here for Iceborn?
It's curious. They're banning the exact same thing so far. Draven and Sivir both off the table. Last time it resulted in an Ashe pick early on. This time Annie. Ahri is getting through. Unlike the last draft, now that Kayn and Poppy are both taken off the table. So some of those AD junglers going to be taken off the table here. There aren't too many left considering Wukong got picked, but there should still be Jarvan available, which I could see being a first pick here for the side of OP Killswitch. Since you did end up banning the Poppy here, it just makes a lot of sense to just lock up that Jarvan right now, but instead it's going to be Nico, which was also left open due to the Kog'Maw getting banned here. So now it gives them the opportunity for the side of Washed Up Schizo to actually just pick that up right now for the Jarvan.
Yeah, there it is, that Jarvan, like you said, locked in. The Xin Zhao is also still available, so if Dorado also wants an 80 jungler, that's probably the one they're going to go to. He got a little bit nerfed, but not so nerfed that it's going to be just openly unplayable and absolutely terrible. Iceborn are going to grab the Lucian early here, so I wonder if they are going to be going for something akin to Lucian Nami, Lucian Melia, which has been the flavor. Lucian Braum has been making a lot of comeback, and it's pretty good versus the Nico. You could pick something spicy like Thresh, but I think that might be a bit of a reach, especially looking at a Nico Corki bottom lane.
Yeah, I think across the world from a lot of pro teams, I think they've just generally agreed, like, okay, we're just playing Lucian Braum now. The Nami and the Melia are a little too squishy. We'd rather have the consistency of the concussing blows there. So I wouldn't be surprised to see it here, especially with that Xin Zhao locked in as well. Braum does very well into Xin Zhao as well, but they are going to grab the Ahri that wasn't banned out. And that does give Dorado a bit of space here to actually ban out the Braum, ban out the Nami, stuff like that are good lane pairings for the Lucian. Because I don't think... something tells me you're not banning out Bleeding Wolves' champion pool anyways. So, you know, you might as well index towards that support position, things you don't want to see, really.
Yeah, you have a lot of options. They are going to ban away the Melio. I imagine the Nami or the Braum will also be banned away, try and narrow down the options. I'm surprised to see the mid lane lock-in for Iceborn. I figured that was something they maybe wanted to save as a counter pick, but they're probably saving counter pick for Bleeding Wolves to give themselves that big of a matchup, so they're going to ban out the mid laners instead. They would call, Sylas. I'm surprised to see the Sylas ban. That makes me think that maybe Alistar is also on their potential thought process of champions they could take out the pair with Lucian, but it's definitely a lot worse of a pairing. When you're picking Lucian, you want him with something that's going to empower him more than something.
Thresh, wow.
Okay. I mentioned the Thresh earlier as like a spicy pick they could go with, but I'm going to be honest. I'm a Thresh player. I enjoy this champion a lot. I don't like it here. I think it's difficult to peel a champion like Nico, like Xin Zhao, and you're into a double ranged lane. When you're playing Thresh, you can't really empower the Lucian all that much unless you get like early locking for some shielding, early redemption to try and heal him up. But those are also long cooldowns to use in trades. Life's not going to be easy for this Iceborn bottom lane. It's really going to be on Lily to hit these hooks, as Syndra is going to be the pick into Ahri. This is an old counter pick, but still a fairly good one. Syndra, I think, has not been seeing as much play as she really could. She's very strong right now. So Ken is also going to be the last lock-in for Iceborn. The counter to be a vessel.
Interesting to see Ken in here. Not really a thing you see too much nowadays, compared to when his prime was, when he's in every single game. But now it's just pretty simply just a solid side laner. I'm curious to see whether we'll see any AD kind of flex, maybe.
I'd be surprised. When you have Jarvan Lucian on your team, I think you could use that extra little bit of boost in AD. And the Jarvan the Kennen combo, if Jarvan gets more than 2 people in an ultimate, Kennen is going to be flashing into it and pressing that lightning spark.
For sure. I will say it is very difficult to play Kennen into Syndra in particular. I feel like that's like definitely one of the hardest champions to play Kennen into. So we'll have to see if you know, Keyhole has the if he has the balls literally to make sure Kennen doesn't get into these team fights and really blow up your backline, since the Thresh is also a pretty good denial tool, but it can be inconsistent at times, and you're gonna have to deal with things like Nico Clone to be able to block these hooks in just the laning phase, but also additionally in just team fights as well. Plus, Mbessa gets to just skip neutral and just go straight into the back line if she wants
She really
to. So
says, only fools flee, and then jumps on your AD carry because she can just say, I'm ignoring everybody else in front of me.
yeah, so I'm pretty scared here for the side of Iceborn. I felt like they had such a good first 3 champions, and I if you just pick Braum,
I think if you swap out the Thresh for the Braum, obviously Mercury Treads become really good for Dorado, but their team also just isn't that tanky in general, so you're fine with them going Mercury Treads. It's a lack in damaging boots, which are pretty important for a lot of these characters. If you just have the Braum there for that extra bit of defense for your Lucian, stopping the Scatter the Weak from coming through, even stopping Nico from getting a multi-man root as well, I think this better be a legacy game from Willie, or I'm going to be questioning the draft in why didn't we just lock in the Braum?
yeah, for sure. You know, there's definitely some. Once again, it kind of comes down to execution for the side of Iceborn, and I'm not the person that really loves, the slightly more difficult compositions, especially early on in a season when you haven't developed as much team play as you probably need for a team comp like this. Obviously, if Washed Up Schizo finds the engage onto the Corki, onto the Syndra, you could really find yourself with a really good advantage being able to combo with the cannon and things like the Ahri as well. So will they be able to find the opening? I mean, these been very slow games. Jungler's not really affecting the map pre-level 6 at all for the last couple games, and now you're picking things like Jarvan into Xin Zhao, so you have to be finding those engages level 2, level 4, stuff like that when you have the opportunities.
Yeah, this does really feel like a draft that Dorado can succeed with, though. They have so many engage tools between Xin Zhao, Nico, and even Syndra and Mbessa as secondary engage. Just like, hey, if Scatter Weak lands on somebody, we can dive in. We can just kill them. And for Iceborn, they don't have a lot of defenses. You're relying on Thresh to be able to kill for you, either with the Lantern or maybe with the Mikhails to get away from the stun. Willie is going to have a hard job this game, I think, is the thing we have decided on, at the very least. Whether engaging or disengaging, life is going to be difficult. For Dorado, though, you press your buttons. If you hit somebody, you win the fight.
Yeah. So they definitely have a little bit of a hurdle to get over here for Iceborn to actually be able to win this game. So I'll definitely give the favor over Dorado. It's just simpler. It's just you have Nico, the easiest engage in the game, and you also combo that with Xin Zhao and Mbessa.
We banned out those same 2 ADCs, the Draven and the Saber, when we didn't go for the Nico ban on that third pick. Are we really that scared of a Kog'Maw first rotate when you have something like Lucian sitting in your back pocket? You can play the Lucian Braum into it. You can even play Lucian Melia, Lucian Nami, be a little bit more sustaining and a little bit less all in.
Yeah, it is a little bit questionable, but maybe they just wanted to guarantee that they get the Jarvan. If they leave the Nico up, okay, they're going to pick Jarvan no matter what. So if that's the trade-off they wanted to make, I guess that's just how it's going to have to be, but it is still just an unfortunate position they find themselves in now after all the dust settles in this draft.
I want to see Washed Up playing hyper-aggressive. I want to see Washed Up playing a super aggressive Jarvan, super in-your-face. I want to see the level 2 Jarvan game this game. I think we need to see more out of Washed Up in this game. We need to see this Jarvan active early on. We need to be seeing them make something happen on the map, either with Willie or with Smokey. Something's got to happen.
Yeah, definitely. They've got some work ahead of them, and I think it's possible. Kennen can really pop off, especially into Mbessa. But you need the support of the Jarvan to really set up those ganks and really get the ball rolling. So can the Jarvan find any kind of force? Each of these lanes have some sort of CC to be able to support this Jarvan in full. So surely they'll have a really explosive early game, and that's how they get their window into this one.
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
Surely, yeah, they have Jarvan. I mean, you just level 2 game, right?
Yeah, you have Jarvan Ahri. It's a great mid-jungle 2v2. You can literally just say, hey, we're fighting level 2. And you can take it to Syndra. She doesn't have a lot of ability. If you get her before she gets scattered the weak off, or if she uses it aggressively, you can just knock her down.
Yep. So, Dorado coming in with a really solid draft here, and it's going to come down to the execution here for Iceborn to kind of turn that tide just a little bit, because I feel like if they do get a good advantage and Kennen kind of can just 1v2 in side lane, you really can come out to a good advantageous position. And if Lucian pops off, as it always goes. So I'll have to see if they're able to find anything. Pretty standard 5-point here, though we do see some early bush contesting for the side of Willie. This is how you kind of expect it to go, with a ranged support into a hook support. Now it's gonna be a little tricky. You got two Corkies. Which one's the Nico? No, just kidding. Just a little mini game there, of course, but it's gonna be pretty chill for the first couple minutes, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm not expecting that we'll see a lot of action outside of the junglers unless we do see a hook land from Willie. We see the ignite on the Thresh, and they want to play aggressive. I think this is better than the exhausting situations like this. Something that I'm actually really surprised to see is the grasp on TK on Trouble Killa up there on the top side. Grasp versus the ranged matchup is not normally what you see.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I mean, it'll have like two stacks. I
I would
believe.
expect Conqueror with Second Wind in the secondary, but maybe they just have something else in the secondary that they wanted to go for instead of Second Wind, so they just are like, yeah, we'll get a ton of grass stacks early, it's fine, but you also have a ton of mobility, so maybe you can just get them anyway.
Yeah, I think maybe that's the idea. Just get them anyways. Be okay with just trading your HP for them, but yeah. Willie now going for that first hook, not going to land anything. You do want to get some poke here, but the Lucian's doing Lucian things. Monty already down about a quarter HP here. Willie now with the level 2 advantage, trying to look for something, but the respect is shown by the bot lane of Dorado.
Mm-hmm. I'm a proponent of Flay start still on Thresh. I think hook level 1 just doesn't give you enough value, but if you can hit the hook, you can definitely chunk somebody out for a lot of their health. And so far, the Iceborn bottom lane is keeping a minor amount of a CS lead for themselves. If you are interested in seeing the other matchup that we have on Titan Esports 2, it is JRCC versus MVP. I'm trying to remember which league is on our second stream right now. I know it was in the announcement. If you're not already in the Discord, you should go into the Discord, and then you can check out any time a stream is live by the media announcements channel.
Yeah, of course. This is a Gladiator, I believe, so that is
Gladiator,
what's currently going on over there.
This is why I like having you around, because you're the smart one who gets to remember things, and I just get to shout.
Did I remember or did I search it up? I don't know. But the world will never know except for me.
You
next.
know what? You just need to know that I believe in you enough that I think you did.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. You know, goat recognize goat type shit. Now it's nice charm here on a keyhole.
Yeah,
wow,
little
chunk there.
Into Keyhall, who has that first strike on the Syndra, which I think has been a fairly common option for her recently. I'm still a big fan of Dark Harvest or Electrocute on her, but I think first strike, because you have that extra range and you can cast those Dark Orbs without needing to stop your movement, it can be really good. It's just a matter of avoiding the poke and keeping that proc active for yourself.
Yeah. You know, well, Jarvan looking over the wall right there. Yeah.
Yeah,
we're
the
both
ping
seeing
is
that.
there, so Keyhall does see it, but is still going to get the flash out of the Syndra. They pinged it out. They knew something was up with it, but didn't end up respecting it enough, so that's going to be a loss of a flash in the mid lane and a potential for a return gank.
I kind of like that. Washed Up Schizo not committing the flash to follow, just expecting that Keyhall will have the reaction to just flash immediately. So, yeah, nice, just free flash there after the hard work from Smokey. And Trouble Killa getting a little bit low here. Does have the electric shuriken here to actually extend it. W could come through, a nice stun.
Whew,
this is a lot of damage. Got to be a bit careful.
Yeah, this
If
is the
Jarvan
range
just
versus melee
immediately
matchup.
top, that would have been pretty disastrous for Trouble Killer, but able to survive it out, and now just gonna push out this wave.
He'll get the recall off, he'll get the TP back in, but Bleeding Wolves is still happy taking advantages in the top side, and this has kind of been what we've seen a lot of in this series. Bleeding Wolves has been
ganking.
very consistently good in the top side. Zinzao is going to be spotted out on that top side gank there, so still no first blood. Nice little ward here from Smokey just to make sure that nothing's going to get caught out there. We see an early roam from Willie here, unspotted on this, has flash, and is maybe looking to make a play over the wall. He's thinking about a potential angle, but the movement from Keyhall says that maybe it's spotted out. Missing Ping is going to come through, so they will spot out the Thresh. Everyone else is just going to walk away from the play.
I'll just, since we have a bit of time here, I was going to show, like, say a funny example. I was playing in a tier 3 league at one point, and my mid laner got ganked over Raptor Wall 4 times in one game. He left by the end of it.
Left the game?
Yeah, just left. Straight up.
Oh, wow. Ooh. At a certain point, it's just like, surely they won't gank me over the same wall in the same way a 4th time, right? Like,
Yeah.
surely that doesn't happen.
It was by
Target
different
from
people.
Smokey. Hook's gonna land onto the right target. Fui now the one in trouble. Ignite's gonna be taking away. Hypnotic Viper gets the honors down into Mani, though, not into Fui, so the Nico will survive. Nicely timed on the hook there, and if I'm being honest, we just messed up the timing there on the clone block.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was the angle too. Was slightly off too, so definitely some improvement there. But nice chunk there. It's going to give a lot of space for the Lucian here, who's already been kind of commanding in the lane, and that's going to net them the Drake here at just 6 minutes. So very good start here for Iceborn. And so far, whoever's gotten the first Drake has won the game. So let's see
I
if
was
that
about to
trend
say.
continues.
First Dragon has a 100% win rate in this series. Granted, the sample size is 2, but you know, it's still a statistic that's there.
Yeah, I mean, stats are valid as long as you just don't think about the actual context of them.
Yeah, who
So,
needs context when I can just make
wow.
the stats tell the story that I want them to tell?
I mean, that's literally the job of statisticians nowadays. It's just make your boss happy. So,
Don't give them the truth. Give them the answer that they want to hear. Manipulate those
Yeah.
stats. Look, stats. This is your actual real valuable life lesson for the day. Stats can and will lie to you. You need to pay attention to things like sample size, where it's coming from, who did the study, who did they conduct the study on. There's a lot of things that you have to look at before you can just blindly accept any sort of statistic that gets given to you, no matter who it's from.
yeah, can't wait for Iceborn to win this game, and we're just gonna say first Drake, you just insta win. That's
I'll have
real
to look
stats
back
right
on
there.
the week 1 matches to see if
I guarantee that is not true week 1, but this is week 2, so we'll just say it's official for
week 2 is totally done.
week 2.
Week 2 is totally different sample sizes. Hook is gonna land. It's on the Monty. There goes the barrier and the flash as well. So far, hooks have been fairly successful as Fleet also gonna, in respect, lose that flash. So a big winning spot for the Iceborn bottom side, though. Hypnotic Viper, not enough mana to take advantage of another hook.
Yeah, there are 0 summoner spells on that side of the bot lane. I will say that. So it's a little bit terrifying going forward.
Juicy gankable.
Yeah. Watch up Schizo. No flash.
In. He's got the Cataclysm. Keyhole now in trouble. Has the flash, but it's just not even going to bother burning. It says, okay, you burned your ultimates. I'm dead. Fair play. First blood is going to go over to Washed Up.
Yeah, they clicked their buttons on me. I had no flash. Unlucky. Next. Gets taken down there and gonna just translate that immediately into the grubs. Nothing too crazy here. This should just be a pretty free grab since Sinjao's on that bot side. And all the objectives going the way of Iceborn. So they're off to a really good start. And consistently throughout the series, we've seen Iceborn is really good at just grabbing up gold across the map. They don't really let go of gold that easily. I'd say that's one of their biggest kind of boons here. So if they're already in a commanding position, that should, really allow them to flourish here.
Yeah, and something that Dorado did fairly well in game number 1. Even while they were losing, they managed to keep the gold lead even. They kept themselves in a spot to be able to win the game. But life is just a little difficult here for them in this early game. Down about 1,000 gold, a little bit more as CS gets cleaned up here and there, but it's not going to get too much easier for them as time goes on. And I think this bottom lane has really been a big part of it. The Corki Nico has not been able to poke down and pressure the Lucian Thresh as much as I think we expect them to.
Yeah, Trouble Killer now, just getting poked out. I mean, look at the CS lead already for the Kennen.
Yeah, that's
80 to 50 basically. So definitely a commanding position and really showing that this counter pick is real to a certain degree. There is OP kill switch on the spot lane bush. Definitely gonna look for a pick. Not sure if he got spotted, but just gonna walk forward.
There. When it becomes Lightning lands, and Willie now the one in trouble has the flay away, but they've got the Pop Blossom. Man is gonna get to the kill over, but Hypnotic Viper just does enough damage. Picks up Fui, so it's a 1-for-1 with the jungle gank.
Yeah, nice jungle gank there, just to be able to pick up a nice trade kill. But the gold's still going the way of Iceborn, and another kill in the Lucian's pocket. A winning lane here for the Corki Nico with 1 kill in the Lucian's pocket plus some CS lead as well. It's gonna be pretty difficult to just be able to survive the normal trading pattern of a Lucian at this point.
He's already got that Essence Reaver finished up. Corki's still looking to finish out that Triforce. Needs a little bit of extra gold. And if there's ever a time for Iceborn to really take advantage of the lead they have, this is going to be it. I just remembered, thanks to chat, the name that this lane used to have back in the day, the Wife Steal lane. This was the, hey, we're going to win lane and we're going to win lane hard lane before Lucian. I think it was before Braum got released, actually.
Oh, yeah. I think so. Well, Braum season 5 or 6. It's definitely been a long time.
Look, in my mind, Braum is still a new champion. I know that he's over 10 years old at this point, give or take, but in my heart, in my mind, that's a new champion to League of Legends, which just shows how damn old I
Yeah,
am.
anything after the map update, that's a new champion.
Honestly, for me, anything after Jinx is still a new champion. Which, again, just really goes to show my age. As Willie's going to look for a flake here, but fighting at the top side as well as Trouble Killer in a little bit of trouble now. Everybody disengages from the bottom lane as soon as the junglers show up. Maybe not, as Willie now potentially an engaged target. Has to flay away OB kill swatch, but Monty has the damage. Welshtup is in there with the Cataclysm, but has no follow-up, has no help. Tehal gets the TP in and just smites him down. OP kill switch picks up the kill, and that's suddenly a feat of warfare over to Dorado. Exotic Viper on the run. When becomes lightning lands, though, manages to dash over the wall. Barrier is going to go in anyway, but it doesn't matter. Unleashed power. Keyhole takes him out.
I mean, that's one way to throw the game. They
That's
definitely had a good commanding position. I will say, yeah, I mean,
Cinder's looking a little
a
young
little
for him,
bit
but
early
on
on that engage. I can't lie. Willie getting caught out there with the culling there for Lucian just not available now. Bad positioning here for Smokey.
Yeah, Pop Blossom lands over the wall, and this should just be a dead Ari, but she has that Spirit Rush. 1, 2, 3. Gets the heck out of dodge. Gets to save her flash as well. Really big cooldown that she gets to hold on to.
Yeah, for sure. Did lose some combat power there, but no Drake, no Rift Herald
She's
for
already
quite
got
a
her
bit
malignance.
here.
It'll
So
be back up in a minute, maybe.
yeah, something like that. These good ability, ultimate enhancing items. They're so fun and interactive.
Isn't it so cool that your opponent just gets their ultimate back 30 seconds faster?
Yeah, there's some
Isn't that so
champs
great?
that aren't a champion without their ultimate, so just
Yeah,
instantly makes
like,
them viable.
Just random example here, like Nocturne, for instance.
Oh
that
yeah,
smoke
yeah,
lands
yeah.
over
Maybe
the
Ari.
wall.
I don't know.
Monty has to lose the flash. I think there was a chance there for Willie and Hypnotic Viper to go for a dive, but they just didn't know where the Zinzao was, so didn't want to go too deep.
Yeah, they are now just gonna be able to get this turret plate on the bot side here. They are gonna also pressure off Corki off the lane as well. Nice solo turret plate gold here for Hypnotic Viper, just able to extend that
They
lead
see
the
what's
Lucian already
up.
has. Yeah.
Ward in the brush spots out the Jarvan, so they know that he's hanging out down here. They know Willie's down here as well.
Oh, steals it.
Steals the big one. Huge win for Fui Fui there, denying some of that golden XP away from Washed Up. Big, massive win.
Yeah,
Stun
nice
lands on the
stun.
Smokey again. I think if that W landed, that may have just been click Unleash Power and get your gold kind of moment.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to find it now.
They'll
Xinjiao
switch.
now looking for the gank.
Bottom lane again. When becomes lightning lands onto Willie. Do they want this engage? They've got that Crescent Guard as well. Willie does have the flash in just about a second. The culling taking Fui Fui's health down pretty low. Manages to hold on to his flash as well, and now Washed Up is here. But the wall from the Otacon spot is going to deny him that line of sight. Now he's the one in trouble. Unleash power. He's going to survive thanks to that shield on himself, with Smokey now potentially the target, but everyone just forced to walk away. Somehow, in the 4v4 in the bottom lane, no one dies.
Yeah, Xinjiao in these long extended fights, able to just find so much value just with those W pokes, as well as just some nice tanking there on the culling with the Crescent Guard. So makes that trade a lot more favorable for them. But they are still down in gold here, and it really does come down to that top lane right now. Kennen 40 CS up with, I believe, got 3 plates before the plates went down. So really farming money here.
Washed Up's in the area. He has Cataclysm. Hypnotic, I think, trying to bait it just a little bit too hard. Monty senses something is up and just walks away.
Yeah, now Keyhole finds the engage. Smokey pretty low.
Yeah, just continuously eating damage here. This is what happens in the Syndra Ari matchup, is Syndra is not set super far behind. Because, yeah, the Ari has the Mercury Tread, so she's able to get out from the CC faster and take a little bit less magic damage, but Syndra's still Syndra. She still does a ton of damage.
Yeah. Now we're looking here. Rift Herald is available. With the lead that Kennen has, you'd think it would be free, but if everyone starts rotating towards that top side, I could see that not being the case as much. They are clearing vision on the bot side here for the side of Iceborn, so potentially just maybe giving up that pressure a little bit, just maybe get a better position towards this Drake in a minute 30.
Yeah, the leads in top lane have been fairly consistent for Iceborn. I'm surprised to see them play such a heavy like bottom and mid lane style focus in a lot of their drafts when Bleeding Wolves has been
Oh,
in this series at least a consistent lead for them as Willie getting engaged on, smites down onto him to get that extra slow OP kill switch. Flashes in for the knockup with the Crescent Guard, but a flash away from Willie. He's gonna get away from the flash Fwee ultimate engage. Flashes exchanged left and right, but I think Willie's feeling really happy with how that ended up.
that is a little bit of an overcommit there for the side of Dorado. Right before the Drake as well. This might just mean they won't have access to that objective when it does come up. So pretty ugly there for Dorado, but who knows? Maybe they'll still be able to find something with the help of the Syndra. But I will say with the 3 grubs on the side of Iceborn, this Kennen is no threat even, or is definitely a threat.
It's no slouch. There you go.
Yeah, no slouch, that's the word. When it comes to taking these turrets, despite being that AP build instead, with just a proto belt right now. So definitely looking good. Kennen backing right now, I assume is going to join on this dragon fight right now and then TP back towards top lane as soon as it's over to get even more pressure. But Iceborn needs to be a little bit careful here to make sure that they don't get caught out before the Kennen and the Ahri arrive.
Yeah. They really want to make sure that they get this third dragon away from Iceborn to deny those triumphant boots, but also to start their dragon stacking. They want the Cloud Soul washed up.
Disconnect.
Wants to get engaged. It's on Fwee. They know that the Nico has no flash, so the hook aimed wide, looking for Monty there instead. I think that's the right target, actually, is they're just going to be able to lock down the Nico regardless. And now without their Pop Blossom engaged, Dragon's up now. It feels like Iceborn should just have a handle on it.
Yeah, there's a free Drake now. You see Zenjao already backed and is going directly towards that Rift Trail to potentially trade out. But because there was so few resources burned, I could actually see Iceborn just going and contesting that as well with the help of the Kennen.
Trouble in the mid lane, but Kennen comes in to engage first, and that means Keyhole is the one to go down. I thought Smokey was getting engaged on with OP kill switch, but Kennen from the wings makes it happen, and Iceborn even up the kill score and get themselves a 2,000 gold lead now.
Yeah, Smokey and Bleeding Wolves just stacked in a bush on top of each other. Little guerrilla warfare there. Finds Keyhole and denies the Rift Herald pressure. So they've really kind of slowed down the game to a point where now it feels like Iceborn is in a pretty good spot. Again, despite how that one bot lane fight ended up going. So Dorado gonna need to pick up some slack here to be able to actually find this one. You know, they haven't found any good engages with the Pop Blossom, really.
Yeah, no great engages, but they do still have things that they can play through. They have this Corki who is 2-0 already, getting close to that man immune completion, should be strong once that second item comes through. But Lucian now with the Navori quick plates, this is a strong Lucian. If they can't lock this guy down with either a Scatter the Weak or a Pop Blossom, I'm not sure how Dorado actually manages to navigate these fights.
Yeah, now they're looking for a little bit here onto Smokey, but just going to be able to get away from there. Having the Spirit Rush means it's a pretty safe Ahri here, but still going to show the full respect to the Xin Zhao. You don't want to be getting taken down when you're on that weak side, or else the floodgates really open for the map here. They're going to grab this Rift Herald, so...
Yeah, that means Rift Herald over to Iceborn, so I think you're fine giving up not first turret blood, no plates for that. I'm feeling pretty comfortable with that. So Iceborn continue to just play the cross maps really well for themselves.
Yeah, Mani just farming on the side lane against this Ahri, so should be a very chill lane compared to what the Lucian Thresh was kind of pumping out here. Now, Fwee hiding in the bush. Willie getting
Spots him
dangerously
out for
close.
Ooh, sidesteps the Scatter of the Weak. When it becomes lightning, still going to land. And Willie, you are not super tanky on the Thresh. The Unleashed Power takes it down. Pop Blossom finds two, but Keyhole is already dead. Willie manages to find that last hit. OP kill switch, taking up a lot of damage with that Crescent Guard, but not tanking up enough. Smokey picks that one up. And now the Flag is trying to get away from the public execution. Monty flashes out, but it's a triple kill to Smokey. The damage comes through, and now Bleeding Wolves finally is going to be able to kill his top lane opponent. Flash in from Hypnotic Viper. They want the ace.
And they get it. I mean, at the very tail end there, Trouble Killer just coming in, and now they have the Rift Herald as well. They can get this next turret and then go straight to Otacon, and this should be pretty free. Yeah. I'm curious whether they will. Hypnotic Viper is pretty low, but if he just recalls right now, he should be able to join up very easily. They are actually going to go for this next charge on the top lane turret, but no, just has to cancel
Wait, he
it.
failed his driving test.
Yeah, it doesn't actually end up getting it.
Washed up truly is washed up. He can't even drive.
Well, I mean, that's a statement. All right, washed up. I mean, the Vi game was rough. Okay, but here we are back with the Jarvan. Maybe it's just you know, secondary engaged champions are just, you want to play the. Actually, never mind. Vaya is also primary, so I'm
Yeah.
not even. I'm
Maybe
trying to give it
maybe
out.
it's
There's
just
no
the
out.
easier to execute on engaged
Yeah,
champion
it's such a
because
hard champion. Oh my
yeah,
god.
really difficult. You know, your Q is a charge up skill shot. You have to charge it up for the right amount of time. But with Jarvan, you just press E and Q, and then the enemy team gets knocked up. And then hey, if you press R, your team wins the game for you. You're doing great.
Yeah, now they are positioning around this Otacon, but Dorado did have some time to kind of gather their bearings here before this fight potentially breaks out. They want to find the Nico. It looks like they're pinging very heavily on that Nico. Maybe look
Yeah,
for
they do not
something.
want to let Fui get any sort of engage. I think the big deal for Dorado is Monty still doesn't have that fully stacked mana meter yet. 315 out of that 300 and oh god, however many. I know how many stacks it is. Is it
60?
375? 360. Thank you. I know. I swear I know things about League of Legends. That's why I'm here. Yeah, still waiting to get to that 360 point to get that upgraded mana. Keyhole, though, a little out of position, and it's just going to get caught out. Smokey now unstoppable on the Ari. And this should just mean Otacon over. Yeah, with the investment on the top side, no teleport available. Bleeding Wolves has his. This should just be free Otacon.
Yeah, it's free. I mean, you could technically try and sacrifice kill switch for it, but I mean, there really isn't much to be gained on the map anyways, so maybe it's worth it to be honest, but yeah, the game is getting further and further away from Dorado, and we talked about how this game's going to be difficult for Iceborn. They're going to need to outplay, and they've been outplaying, so it hasn't really been too much of an issue for them. This Syndra has not looked good.
Really well.
It's Corky as
looking for a
well.
potential charm, manages to land it. The Orb of Deception goes wide. Flash Hook also manages to split the uprights there. OP Kill Switch, though, is going to be the target regardless. Has the Crescent Guard. Smokey has to be a little bit careful. Lands the charm, though. Is not going to let him get in. Hook lands onto the real Fui. We're a little split here, but Bleeding Wolves now has the Slicing Maelstrom crashing down the lightning onto 3 members of Dorado Gaming. Bleeding Wolves will give his life for it as Keyhole has that unleashed power, but he should end up dying for it. Flag and drag in from Washed Up, manages to find it on all 3, and everybody's popping. Willie's not going to find the hook. He will eventually give his life as Trouble Killer has the damage on the Avessa, but Washed Up should just be able to finish him off. One more auto down, a double kill for the Jarvan, and a big win for Iceborn.
Yeah, even bigger win. Look at the bot lane. Lucian, meantime, just pushing, unbothered. Who cares about my team? I got this bot lane turret to take down, so able to just grab that up for plus 400. I mean, that was basically as good of a fight as Dorado could have asked for, considering how many spells went wide for the side of Iceborn, and they still lost it without an 80 carry. So
talk about
the Orb of Deception, the hooks. I mean,
the flag and drive was great though from Washed Up. Managing to land that on 3 was pretty nice.
Yeah, but yeah, definitely a pretty rough showing here for Dorado in this final game of week 2 for them.
And they looked so strong in game 2 as well. I felt like, oh, this is going to be the Dorado comeback angle, just like in game number 1, where they had their moment of like, they were weak, but they had that spot where they made the comeback. That's kind of like the story of the series. Game 1, they end up losing pretty bad. But game 2, they snap back and snap back hard. A 26-minute victory for them. Disgustingly ahead. No chance for Iceborn to get back into the game. But now we're seeing that same style from game 1 again, where Iceborn, they have a moment or two where they're kind of throwing, but the wallet diff is just a little bit too big as Hypnotic Viper throws the culling a little wide there, a little outside.
All right. We need to chill here. We need to chill here, guys. You still got to hit the skills to win the game, so.
Yeah, I know your wallet is big, but it's not big enough that you can literally just walk at them and win the game.
They're definitely trying, though. They're giving it their best. Dragon is up in 350, so they got a very long time before anything crazy happens. Baron in 15, so
25-minute Baron. 25-minute Baron as
should be.
They want to punish Keyhole again. They want this
Flash.
Syndra dead. They're gonna instantly murder her. Flash. Make sure the Keyhole is not allowed to play the video game today, and I feel like that's just kind of also been the story of this series. It has been, hey, someone in the game is not allowed to play.
Yeah, and it's currently. Oh, Fui
Smokey
barely
wants to
dodging out.
engage. Fui manages to sidestep everything in there somehow. Insanely good movement from him. It's just Iceborn looking for picks. They're looking for potential stragglers, just trying to get any sort of advantage that they can press, as there's no real objectives for them to play for. It's not a team that takes the Baron super quickly, so they have to play aggressive. They have to try and just get picks on Dorado to take their advantages.
Clear out these wards, make sure that no one's getting spotted. Yep, blue trinket gonna get popped here. Bleeding Wolves now just gonna walk it out. They will go for a full reset here to go just for this Baron with all the purchases just completed. You have now a Rabadon's Ari, a Navori's Quick Blade, Infinity Edge Lucian. How do you
Yeah, I
lose?
think the members. Well, don't say that because
I mean, I'm
we've
trying.
seen we've seen unlosable positions
my
be
best.
lost before.
I'm trying my best. I think potentially Dorado can win this if I Caster Curse it enough.
Hypnotic Viper is going to look for Fuiki over this wall, but if you dash in, you're not stuck in a 1v3. The Pop Blossom is there. Monty looking for some damage on the back of it, but Hypnotic Viper has the flash, has the barrier, manages to get the heck out of dodge. The Xin Zhao ultimate taking up a ton of that damage, but it doesn't matter at this point. The wall is a little bit too big. Slicing Maelstrom in cosmetic at the end. It doesn't even matter. A double kill for Smokey. They're just going to be able to shut down the Invesa at the very end. Give Smokey the triple. Turret's tanked up by the Grubs. Hypnotic has to be a little careful here. I think that tower is ramped, but we'll manage to get out of it in time. And that's a clean ace for Iceborn, and that should just be the Baron.
Is that crazy, or did that turret just not have range at all to hit that Lucian? That is very strange. Either way,
I think the Grub died as pretty much as the turret shot
Oh, the second,
fired,
yeah.
so...
had a cooldown, yeah. That makes
yeah, the turret
sense.
cooldown is always something you have to watch out for. But yeah, I think this game is potentially a little bit over. Just a
Don't
little.
say potentially, it's over. You know, it's just GG.
I always look. I say potentially because I don't want to be blamed if Iceborn somehow ends up losing this game. If they throw it somehow, it's
Blame
not
me.
my fault.
It's fine. Blame me. Last week was enough caster cursing, so now I'm just gonna be the anti-caster curse from now on. You know, it's just like, yep, can't make it any worse. You know, so should be pretty
Surely
good
it
here.
can't get worse for Dorado, as now the Baron in the pockets of Iceborn, so they got a little bit of time to play with that one. Dragon's up in a minute. It will be Soul for them, but I'm going to be honest, I don't think the Soul is that impactful this game. Despite how good it is for Iceborn, I think their lead is enough that they don't really need it to win.
Yeah, I think they're just gonna sit in a bush and kill someone. Oh, here we go. Fui. What a
Fufi or
target.
Keyhall, and I think Keyhall's the one that they want to go for, as there's that ultimate in the Spirit Rush from Smokey. Charm's not going to land, but I don't think it matters at this point. Enough just single target damage. They don't need to care about hitting skill shots. They can just kill him.
Yeah, that's a little rough. Now Mani, I think, is gonna about to be engaged on if he stayed any closer now. Just gonna take up this turret. Kennen now.
They are literally just walking in with their wallets and saying, hey, Dorado, you can do nothing about this. Hook's going to land on OP. Kill Switch Charm lands as well. Crescent Guard used. And that's their one big defensive tool already gone. They don't have Flash on their AD carry. They don't have Flash on their support, which is their engage in this particular instance. The Nexus turrets are the target. Hook doesn't land from Willy, but again, I'm not sure how much it really matters in this game. Nexus turrets are being sieged down. Dorado, if you're going to make a last-minute comeback, if you're going to make a final stand, it's got to be here and now, because this Baron buff is going to last for a while. Open Kill Switch has to flash away from the hook. Trouble Killer looking for some sort of potential engage angle. First Nexus turret goes down. Willy flashes forward, gets the hook onto OP Kill Switch. There's that slicing Maelstrom. It's into the backline, and everybody pops from Dorado. And Vesa gets onto the backline, but she doesn't do any damage in this game. A clean ace. Not a clean 2-0, but a clean 2-1 for Iceborn.
A quick one, to be honest. 29 minutes, very solid performance here from Iceborn. Dorado didn't really have an answer in the game as soon as it started to going the way of Iceborn Inferno. The extra gold from having the Kennen winning lane on that side, as well as just solid laning from the Ari, the Lucian, and, you know, Jarvan there to just pick up the pieces, make sure you get it all locked up and done.
Yeah.
And just like that, Dorado's going to be sitting 1-1 in their Group A.
Yeah, and we had our questions about the Iceborn draft. I think especially after Game 2, where their draft was very difficult to execute on, and life was not easy for them. For the entirety of the game, Dorado took advantage of a difficult to execute on comp and said, hey, our buttons are easier to make happen, so we're just going to make it happen. And in this game, it felt like they had a similar thing going on. Corky Nico is a great double-range bottom lane. You could play engage versus a shorter-range AD carry like Lucian. Cinder versus Ari skill matchup. But Keyhole was getting the better of Smokey in a couple of trades there in the early game. And Vesa versus Kennen, that matchup was always going to be painful. No chance you're coming out of that one happy, but that's fine. You have two lanes that you can play for, that you can win, but we just never saw them play for those lanes. It felt like once Iceborn had a lead in a lane, it was just like, all right, this lane's over. We have to try and play somewhere else. And eventually you run out of new spots to play it in.
It is a little curious to see the Mbessa build go for Cleaver, considering you are against Kennen and kind of no tanks at all. I would have much rather seen Shojin, for instance, as an example there,
Maybe a
as a
Maw as
build
well, since
option
you're into the double AP.
or something like that. Yeah, but didn't really offer much, and you really want the Mbessa to be diving the back line and really taking down some of the much more
Yeah.
squishy members. Obviously, it was already too far gone by the time Mbessa is going to join something, but that's
But I think
potentially an angle you could win in.
that's really the power of the red side pick that Iceborn took advantage of so well. They said, hey, you picked this vulnerable top laner. We have counters available. We have this back pocket cannon that Bleeding Wolves can play and can just make sure you aren't relevant before the rest of your team is.
Yeah, but they end up taking it nonetheless. I mean, I think game two, unfortunately for them, their R5 didn't really work out.
Yeah.
But the Kennen into another solo lane that isn't so consistent as Orianna. Mbessa can be bullied out. Orianna not
Yeah.
really. It just makes it a little bit better there.
Mhm.
So pretty good drafting here, but it just raises question marks for Dorado. What really went wrong in that last game? It felt like they should have had a better comp on paper, theoretically.
Execution just wasn't there fully for them. And
Yep.
for Iceborn, it was. And we saw it in game one as well. When they got a lead, they did not let it go. They continuously took advantage after advantage and just pressed their lead again and again. And this is something that I think Iceborn has done very well over the course of this series. We saw anytime that they had an advantage, they took it. But at the same time, in that game too, when they got behind, they did not really have many ways to come back into it. They were playing like they still had a lead when they were down like near 5,000 gold.
Yeah, for sure. So just like that, Iceborn going to put themselves in a good position in week 2
2-0 to
here for
start
Group
Group.
A.
Yeah, 2-0 at week 2 always feels really good to see in Dorado. The season's not over yet. They still have plenty of time to climb back up in the rankings, but they're going to have to start from a little bit of a deficit here of 1-1. That's going to be it for us tonight. I want to thank you all so much for joining us. I've been What's It Birdie. That's been Golden Gad GG, our producer and observer, Golden and Loki, making sure everything runs as smoothly in the background as possible. We appreciate you sticking with us through the technical issues. Thank you all, and we will see you next week for more Titan Esports Vanquisher action. Have a good night.
Later.